Hello and welcome to Spurs Kings TV. It is Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time for Ashmatic's analysis. Ash, you well, my brother?
Yeah, man, Medea, man. You know it is Tuesday night, break things down. And you know what? It's that time of the season where I just don't give up. You know what I mean? Bro, you know what? You just like all F's are just out the window. I just right
bro,
now
bro, it's because we've been
it's
babysitting this weekend, man. You were with Sim. I was with Ricky on Sunday. You had Barnaby today. What's going on? We're just babysitting out here.
after the man then it's cool.
Picking up everyone. But how you feeling, man? How you feeling about everything right now?
Me,
Yeah, you.
beach broski. I'm being on the beach. I'm saying, hey, Jed, let me borrow them shades. Look, that's what I'm feeling right now. Ray Charles, I can't see nothing. I'm looking forward to, was it Scissor, Kendrick Lamar? You know what everybody's saying? Give me some 50 Cent tickets.
Bro.
Leave me out. I'm confused. I don't know what's going
I'm proper confused. Anyway, let's let's bring out our guest, man, because it's going to be an epic one tonight. We've got obviously Frankfurt to review, we've got Wolves to review, and then we've got Frankfurt to preview. Big week, especially with it being Good Friday on Friday in the UK. So
Will
could
it
be peak. It could be peak. There's a lot of people preparing shows. I even put out the battle cry on did you see me? I put out the battle cry on Last Word and said the main guys have to come back for that. Make sure they're available just in case. Just in case. But nah, let's get into it. Let's bring out the guests tonight. First of all, someone who called me out this week and I didn't even do anything. Right, I didn't even do anything this week. I didn't say nothing about Brennan Johnson. I left him alone, but he called me out anyway. So I thought I'd bring him on this week. JJ, you well?
I'm good, Marlon. Thanks for having me back on. How you doing, Ash?
All good, all good, all good. Next person making his debut, big guy out in the industry. Everyone will know him from Last Word. Everyone will know him from Chris Cowlin and other things as well. But he's our big Spurs fan. I have to give him props. He's making his debut as well. Like we have to give props to anyone who makes their debut. We have to give them props. Round of applause. Drum roll. Ricky, are you well?
What is going on, gentlemen? What is going on? My goodness. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for the invite. Yes, it is my debut. Hopefully, it's the first, but not the last. And I'm looking to just crack some joke and talk about this crazy club called Tottenham Hotspur with you fine gents tonight. So let's have it. Let's have a good one. Can't wait to jump in, man. Can't wait to jump in.
Have a laugh, have a joke, but love the club we support. And
listen, if you don't laugh with this club, we would all be in padded cells. Let me tell you, and we'd all be like, you know what I mean, knocking on the walls and doing Morse code and that. Do you know what I mean? But still be saying, "Come on, you Spurs." So look, we're all here tonight. Let's have a good one. There hasn't been no game. There's been no result that straight away that we've got to speak about, so we can just speak objectively and hopefully bust some joke and come out smiling. Not just you guys on the pod tonight, but everybody around the world watching, listening, and joining us this evening.
Next one. Haven't seen him in a while, but it's been a minute. It has been a minute, but definitely worth the minute. But a good welcome and welcome back, Coach Dave. You well?
Yeah, guys, good to be back. Ash, I know you've been calling me every Monday saying, "Yo, bro, what you doing?" No, we made it work, man. Yeah, little knock. The depression's been real. But I'm ready to crack jokes and see if we can lift our spirits. All good.
And then last but not least, big YouTuber. Love in America. We love him as always. But and he's always showing love to this channel, but a big welcome, Jacob. How you doing, my friend? Oh, we can't hear you.
What a great way to welcome myself in. I was just saying hello, everyone, and hopefully everyone's doing good today. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for anyone who was concerned. And what a pleasure to be on stage with so many legends. But, I mean, that's what happens when you text Ashmatic anyway, so... You're going to make sure you get a... Yeah.
It's my love. Come on.
Well, of course, Marlon, come on. You know, we see you everywhere. We see you on Last Word on Spurs. I see Ricky on Last Word on Spurs. Y'all are the, you know... You don't say Muhammad Ali had a good fight, right? Because you know he did. So it's like, oh,
Oh,
hello.
Uh-oh.
And last but not least, Barnaby.
Hi guys,
got
how you doing? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
All
you're
good,
good,
my
man.
friend.
You're good. What's going
Oh
on?
my God, Barnaby, are you well? First of all, are
Yes. Well, I'm well. Other than supporting Tottenham Hotspur, yeah, I'm all right.
you well? We've all been there. We've all been there. Do you know what? Let's get straight into things. Ash, I'm going to
Yes.
start with you. As
All right.
always, I always start with you.
Yes.
Thursday's gone.
Yes.
Sunday's gone.
Right.
Right. And do you know what? For the first time, you slipped. I saw you started to slip, and you slipped big time with Sim. That's why I had to come on and try and save you and calm you down.
Yeah, you know what it was? I'll be real with you, yeah? Listen. Why I slipped here, there was a bottle of fizzy water on the floor, and I kicked it over, and I was like, ah! And I was like, no. And then you happened to score at the same time. So it looked like a meltdown that I was having on screen. But I was all right, man. I'm good. But thanks for asking, man. I'm all right, just in case people are worried. It's all good. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. Thursday, Sunday, 2 different games, 2 different results, 2 different performances, night and day. A team, B team, mistakes, a glimmer of hope. Some people might say, I would have said that we needed to get the job done at home. But at the same time, it's a performance you can take in to the Bundesliga. Frankfurt, they hadn't been playing too well up until that point. Now they've won a game in between that. We've lost our game, so that momentum's kind of died down. It's just like, I know why the Spurs fan base is so flip-floppy. Do you know what I'm saying? But there's one thing you can always rely on Spurs, man. You can always just rely on us being so unpredictable. And for me, it's do or die. You know what I'm saying? Moving up, moving forward, looking towards Thursday, it's do or die. But I'm gonna leave it at that. There's a lot of guests. It's not really about me. It's about them. I'm gonna let them have the floor.
I'm going to start with Ricky because he's in the top left-hand corner. Ricky, 2 games gone. How are you feeling, especially after you've had a couple of days to dwell after the Wolves result? How are you now feeling, especially going into Thursday? How are you feeling towards the club as a whole?
Oh, that's a different question. Club as a whole and Thursday and Sunday is that's 2 very different questions. But let me jump on the games. I mean, look, we've known, and I've known the league has been for a while. What is really important is the performance that we put in, right? And Sunday's performance was not good enough at all, nowhere near the shape enough, but pretty much 4 individual errors. And it was one of those in which, seen it many a time under many a manager, a Spurs team collapse for no reason, but we just decided to collapse on the day. It doesn't help the momentum because the momentum around us is negative, and we do have a cloud of negativity, and we do have a cloud of that is splitting the fan base, splitting the team, I'm sure, splitting everybody left, right, and centre. So it is a time with no momentum apart from this cloud hanging over our head. We had the injuries. We know we've had really tough times. We know the board us for a long time. But
Ricky, can you hear me? Hold on. I've got to ask a very important question. Ange in or Ange out? Let's keep it simple.
go on.
Ange in or Ange out, bro?
Well, I mean, I'm still Ange in, and I'll tell you why. Right, his results and the on show, right, has not given me much evidence, right, to back him. It hasn't. It really hasn't. And I'm one of those that wanted it to work. Of course I did. I saw for those first games and I was like, oh my gosh, we are actually playing some football and the football that Tottenham should be playing. Now, after that, it's gone skew with. Yes, agree. It has gone skew with. But I've looked at the kind of going on, and for me, I think a lot more of the blame, more than any other season, is on the board. And I think we're looking at the board right now a lot more about backing him out, giving him a compete with, about kind of going. You wanted him to go out on all 4 fronts and be short before we started. And for the first time in a long time, I just wanted to support through thick and thin. I mean, a manager and a philosophy, and I believed once we got our players back, we would be different, right? There's been more evidence to say that I'm wrong in that assessment, but the flashes of brilliance and all this Europa League basket. So that's why right now I don't think the team needs any more negativity stroke people going again. I just want to support them. I've seen, yes, we've had very poor passes, but I've seen in times and in moments that the boys have stood and they have tried to fight and they have tried to, and even in the times that we're losing heavily and stuff like that. And so in my eyes, I've seen the boys back the manager, and because results don't back it, right? But I've seen and I just wanted to support them and support a manager for longer than of 18 months. I just want to see a journey of the season, and then these eggs are in the basket of the Europa League coming up on Thursday. And the fact that I saw second leg against flashes of Angeball again for the majority of 90 minutes through that at Eintracht on Thursday. And that gave me courage. We should have come out or one up in that game. We should have, right? But when things happen. So, because I just want to support the team and I just want to support players, and I think there's so much, and it's been for so long that I don't want to against them. I just want to stand up with them and support them alongside them for as long as this journey may go. So it's a tough answer. It's a tough answer.
Coach, let me bring you in on it. Where are you feeling? Where's your feelings at the moment?
About the games or about
the games.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes good, sometimes bad. And the gap between the two is massive. And that's the problem, because we alternate from playing some really good football, quite resilient football, which I think we saw in some of the Frankfurt game, which, to be honest, surprised me. I saw, when we went that 1-0 down in the first 10 minutes or so, which I think is almost becoming a thing now in recent games, I thought it could be 2-0 by 30 minutes. The pattern's there, isn't it? If we're being honest, we lose the ball, quick transition into the fullback area, shot on goal, high percentage, kind of, going 1-0 down, 2-0 down, that kind of thing. And Frankfurt are a transition team, so I thought, it could end up being a 2-0 game by 30 minutes. But we hung in there and started to dominate the game and was quite resilient. We didn't see that on Sunday. It was very, very flat. Was it the changes? Was it players having, one eye on Thursday, not trying to get injured? But, you would like to think that some of those players who maybe weren't selected in the first leg would be looking at it and going, here's an opportunity to put my front foot forward, put my name in the hat. You look at Spence, who we were all shocked to see was not playing that first leg. I think he had his worst game in ages, on Sunday. He was really lethargic, wasn't, making those tackles. He was very poor on the ball. Even at left back, which we've seen him put in some really good shifts there. So it's just all round disappointing, I think. And for us to put in two performances like that in the space of 3-4 days just goes to show the Jekyll and Hyde nature of the team and the club as a whole at the moment. It's not a great position to be in. It's not a great position to be in. So you don't know what to expect. We all wish that and hope that obviously we can get a great performance on Thursday and a win to go through. And then you look at it, you're 2 games away from a final, and anything can happen.
I'm going to bring Barnaby in because I know we've got you for a short amount of time. So you obviously were doing the watch-alongs. So you've obviously been doing the watch-alongs for few months now. And obviously Ange is saying we played well on Sunday and controlled it a little bit. Where were your feelings towards it?
I spoke to Ash on my channel earlier and we talked about this. And I just think Ange is in full panic mode at the moment, covering his back, trying to use excuses to block everything out so that people will stop talking about the fact that we're basically going to finish the season in 17th. I like to think of myself as a very half glass full Spurs supporter until the moment that you can't be. And I think that moment for me was Everton away, the first half when we were 3-0 down. And that, I believe, if I'm right, was after Tamworth. So it was like I allowed Tamworth, where we were taken to extra time by a non-league side. I thought, oh, it can happen, whatever, we got through. But Everton 3-0 at half-time, that was the moment where, for me, the players kind of stopped. Now, I don't want to say it stopped playing for him necessarily, but stopped believing in what they were trying to do. And I think now we're about 2-3 months later, and there's no evidence for me that the players believe any more. I promise you, the only slight possibility we have of getting through to the semi-finals is Mickey van der Ven. That is honestly literally it, because he elevates that side by about 25%. And if he can have an absolute kind of worldy Virgil van Dijk kind of performance and drag Romero alongside him and make Romero not lose his concentration, and then the thing that really makes a difference with Van der Ven away from his defending is he can beat a presser with just a 5 or 10 yard run with his pace, and then that opens space up for everybody else. And I think Ange is hanging his hat on that as well. And honestly, that is the one thing that I think Ange is getting right at the moment, is wrap him in cotton wool, don't play him in any of those Premier League games, and just hope that somehow we can get a result at Eintracht Frankfurt. And then the other thing I want to say is, I think I'm slightly worried that the most Spurs thing that could happen now is we beat Eintracht Frankfurt and lose to the Norwegian team in the semi-final.
Finally, I've been saying that for weeks. I think everyone has written Bodo Glimt off, but actually, I think
they're class.
They're class. I'd rather play Lazio in the semi-final.
I watched live the last 25 minutes of that first leg. They should have won 5 or 6-0. Yeah. They were all over them. And can you imagine that Spurs team, who we've watched game after game collapse under adversity, go to freezing Norway and face up to a little kind of Bournemouth-esque stadium with a frozen pitch. That's what I'd worry about. But that's a best case scenario at the moment, because I have to say, and I know I've probably gone off topic a little bit because you asked me about the game of the weekend, but I have to say I don't hold out a great deal of hope, but my only hope is Mickey van der Ven.
JJ, bring you in, because obviously last time you were on, you were very, very, and just the correct man. He's doing well. It's just tweaks here and there. He needs his team back. He's got his team back now. Were we in control on Sunday, as he said we were?
It's an interesting one in terms of I said this on a video. I don't necessarily or disagree. I don't think he was massively out in certain respects, but it's just a bit tone deaf at that moment in time, given the performance, given the goals that we conceded, the individual errors, and how disjointed the performance was across the 90 minutes. I just don't think that's the kind of thing you come out and say. We're already, as fans, we've been through the mill this season. We're tired and we've been beaten up. What we didn't want to hear is our manager coming out and saying that, because even if you are willing to sit there and really analyse the game and look at it and rewatch it, I don't think you're feeling that after yet another defeat off the back of a terrible season. My only, if I'm going to be really generous about it, my only feeling is that him saying we played okay, there were blocks of the game that we looked relatively comfortable. Unfortunately, we were already 2-0 down in one of those blocks. And the other side of it is we were quite good at advancing the ball. It looked quite easy for us to advance the ball into the final third, and then we were toothless from there. So I could maybe, if I was being super generous, I could see what he might have been alluding to, and he doesn't want to kind of burn his team going into the second leg of this quarterfinal. It's not going to help him in any way to go and tear strips off his team and tear strips off the players that have come in and not, covered themselves in glory. I think the other thing that's really key about the game on the weekend is that it was our key starters who made most of the mistakes. So most of the individual errors were coming from players who were going to play on Thursday. So it wasn't like, Archie Gray came in and struggled, or it was Christian Romero, it was Vicario, It was unfortunately Berryval for the final goal. These are all the starters, so I can see that the manager doesn't want to tear everybody down. But yeah, at that moment in time, I'm not sure that's what as fans we wanted to hear.
Jacob, I know you've been a very massive, big supporter of Ange, especially in the last few weeks. How did you reflect on the last two games regarding Spurs and how he's come through them?
Well, come through them, I think, is not a phrase I would use. We survived, I think, the first leg versus Frankfurt at home, which, to be honest, when the fixtures came out and I knew it was home and then we played away the second leg, I was automatically not feeling really good because our away form is terrible. Their home form is fantastic. I think they've lost 4 home games the entirety of this year. So that's not going to bode well for us. However, there's no real substantial evidence to say I'm going to stand on this is why we can beat Eintracht Frankfurt, other than hope and positive vibes and, wearing lucky socks. I don't know which socks are lucky yet because I've gone through them all this year and they've all been proven a liar. So it's one of them things. It's just, I'm not sure. We go to AZ Alkmaar, which I think Alkmaar is a place in Saudi Arabia, and it's in the Netherlands, and we can't even do well there. Barnaby mentioned Tamworth. 10 Tamworth fans outside the ground saying you're a shit Ollie Watkins is enough to rattle our entire squad. And to me, that is a sign of a larger issue at Tottenham. And again, it's an issue for me that's predated Ange Postecoglou. It's been a mentality issue for quite some time. So I don't think that the results bode well for the players' confidence necessarily that there was any going into an away fixture, because again, Tamworth, fun fact, my high school stadium, where I played ball in high school, sits just as many people as Tamworth, and that's a high school. So again, if that is enough, you go to Schnitzelville or Lederhosen Town, wherever they're located at, and you're gonna have crazy fans. Any Bundesliga team has a pack of, look at what they were doing in our stadium last time we played them. They were singing for 90 minutes. And then that's not to mention the 30 minutes before kickoff that they were singing. And they were all moving as a unit. And that's one thing you could say Spurs fans are not doing in any form, fashion, or imagination, which is moving as one. We are definitely as spread out as, I don't know, some kind of fun little insert banter here, but I just think that not a lot of confidence. Neither game really made me filled with confidence. Again, we ain't won at Molineux since Jan Vertonghen was hitting the Superman on us, which is also, again, a problem indicative of our mentality. The Molineux is a great stadium, and they have a great group of fans that they have a long line of history as well. So, I think that it just speaks to our mentality. My confidence is at an all-time low. But again, don't ever tell me I can't do something, because then guess what? I might end up doing it. And that's kind of what I'm hoping Tottenham do. But I've hoped that a lot this year. And, if hopes was dollars, I'd be broke by now. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? I want to ask a question. There's been a narrative going around that, the defeat for Wolves was all down to individual errors. It wasn't actually down to Ange's tactics. Do you guys agree with that? Do you think it's just a one-off thing where that individual game where we took our eye off the ball, our focus was on
You know what, Ash? Listen, I think that this team, this manager, this fan base has been so fragile for so long, okay, that everything that bumps us, it sends shockwaves through us. I think that they were for individual mistakes, but at the same time, in a system with the quote unquote second team. Now, the majority of us thought and felt, and some of us said live or on all of our shows that we've been on, that we would have probably wrapped up our first 11 in Cotton Wall on Sunday so that they could be fresh, ready to go. And that's what pretty much happened. But we didn't really expect that collapse from our first teamers. as you guys rightly said earlier, it was the first teamers roles, which is worrying, right? So I think it's a mix of both. But on Sunday, it was 4 individual errors. Yes, the system might have put them under pressure, but these boys have been doing this for a long time. This is why I'm conflicted with the whole management scenario. But because the evidence is saying one thing, but I'm trying to stay kind of faithful and supportive and go, come on, you're like, you guys have got to know that Thursday is everything, and and if the pressure's on with the crowd, the drums, with the pressure of the manager's job and the pressure of your season and the pressure of going into the Champions League, if all of that is on and you can't handle it, then again, you wasn't the right ones to be here anyway. Those boys have to step up on that. So I think on the Sunday, it was 4 individual errors. And those are the 4 that should have stepped up. Like Vicario, ever since he's come back from his injury, I've felt that he's looked a little bit more, like a little stronger. He has been claiming crosses. He has been coming out for corners and dealing with them. And in this Sunday, everything went out the window. Now, Romero's, he's been a bit Jekyll and Hyde this season. When he's played for us, sometimes he goes missing. Sometimes he kind of gets in a daze. But then the aggressiveness, the will to win, the way that he pushes, the way that he creates havoc, and he gives the opposition something to worry about, is something that our team needs at the same time as well. So it is, and then Bergvall. Look at Bergvall. Bergvall has been our shining light most of the season. Him and Archie Gray, our shining light. He's a young boy. He's gonna make mistakes. There's gonna be times where he messes up like that, and we end up conceding a goal. I think he made another error earlier on in the season where it ended in a goal as well. So these are learning moments for him. But it for us, it's always the way that we don't just get a bit of the tsunami, we get the full force of the tsunami, plus hurricane winds, plus tornadoes, lightning, and alien striking all at the same time, and a virus that never hit any other team apart from us. We're that type of team.
So are we saying, is everyone in agreement that this is a flash in a pan moment, or is this something where you see happening if he was to stay here a further season, for example? If he was given the summer, if he won the Europa and he was given that summer window, and he got, does anyone think, because Ricky, you're saying you're Anjin.
Until the end of the season, Ash. Until the end of the season, let's reassess it after that. Do you know what I mean? Because again, evidence speaks for itself. But you got to look at. Somebody said it on Twitter today. Steven Gerrard came from Scottish League, came over. Won the Scottish League with Rangers, came over, took Aston Villa down to 17th, and then they got Emery, and then look at their ascension.
Good point.
And it was a tweet, it wasn't me, whoever said it. And then they said that Ange has done the same with Celtic and Tottenham. And so maybe, again, Tottenham is a crazy club. You've got to remember that no other manager wanted to come to Tottenham. That people blatantly had the meeting with Levy and said, "Nah, I'm all right." Arnie Slot done it. Do you know what I mean? That he could have made the phone call to Poch, don't forget, and he didn't. Let him go to Chelsea and stuff like that. So we're nuts. We're nuts. We never do the right thing as a club. So whatever happens in the summer happens in the summer. I'm Angieing until the end of the summer, because I've supported him through all of this madness, and I'm waiting for this team to click, and I'm still hoping. Because I see little flashes like on Thursday that it can be there. It can be beautiful. But we haven't seen Angeball itself, the Angeball that people criticize. We haven't seen that for a very long time. It's one of my biggest disappointments against Chelsea, that we just let them do what they wanted to us. We didn't trouble them with our gameplay, with our players, with anything. And we've had all these XGs where our shots have been top, our attacking plays been top of the league, and we didn't do none of that.
Answer me this, and anyone can jump on or jump in or whatever.
Yeah, I'll be quiet now. I'm sorry.
No. It's cool. You can answer back, but I'm just saying, I'm giving the floor is open, and I'm saying, Ricky is saying we haven't seen Angeball. That's part of the reason why we've been so bad. a lot of people were saying when we get our players back,
Yeah.
we will perform a lot better. And I'm saying, look, when all of our players are back,
This is what triggered Ash, by the way.
no, wait. When all of our players are back and we are playing Angeball, what will happen then? Is anyone pointing?
Yeah, let me jump in quickly because I haven't got long left. But secondly, also, I agree with basically everything Ricky said, by the way, except I think if we lose on Thursday night, they'll sack him on Friday. I genuinely do. I think it'll be that quick, rightly or wrongly. I think there's something about Angeball can't exist in a vacuum, and this is where I think one of the big problems with Ange is that, and I think that Steven Gerrard point is so good. Whoever came up with that, that's a really good point. But basically, the opposition know how to stifle Angeball. You just put all your bodies in the middle of the pitch. We can't outnumber them like we were in the first 10 games of last season, and they don't know what to do. And we don't have a wide forward at the moment or anymore who is as good as maybe a Mo Salah who can, because Ash and I were talking about Mo Salah earlier today. Mo Salah can do the business beating a man inside or outside, even if the whole narrow of the pitch, the whole spine of the pitch is full of players. So Liverpool deal with it a lot better than Spurs do, or like Ash said earlier, Anthony Gordon at Newcastle. Players who can do something to beat that kind of that block that teams put on us. But basically, whether it's Eintracht Frankfurt or Southampton, actually, Southampton's a bad example, but Crystal Palace when we played them, or Ipswich when we played them, they know how to counteract Angeball. So we don't see Angeball because the opposition are like, we know how to deal with it. The analysts, I say it every watch along I do, it's like the analysts of these teams that we play just have a field day and just go into their players and say, all you have to do is this. It's as simple as this. And you'll frustrate them and also get in their faces, waste some time once you go 1-0 up, and Spurs will capitulate. And it happens every time. So I don't think it's necessarily that the team can't play Angeball or aren't playing Angeball. It's that they're not really allowed to.
I'll come in there too, because I want to agree with the notion there that Barnaby said that if, one team can suss us out, then any team can suss us out. And with every sport across the board, when you're new to it, when you're bringing something that hasn't been seen or done in a certain style, there's going to be an adaptation period for oppositions. Like you'll see a lot of players come in and like American football, for instance, they'll come in, they'll have a fantastic first year, but then once coaches got 16 games of game footage on you, now they know your tendencies. They know what you like to do in certain situations. And this is where I've been critical of Ainge. I know people like to say I'm part of a cult of some kind, which I haven't got my membership card. If there is one in the mail, it must have got lost. But it's you see the adaptation, and then it almost kind of works. It's like, okay, well, this is a rendition of Angeball that was an adaptation versus our opposition, but it's like those times happen out of force. Those times don't happen out of proactiveness, or it's more of a reaction most of the time in an in-game situation. So I do agree with the notion that like we do get cut open with one pass. We are very open, but the whole notion, which this is my assumption of what all the things that Ainge and what I've seen in the last almost 2 years now is that if we do what we're supposed to do well enough, none of that matters. That whole one pass cutting us open in the middle, the whole our fullbacks are pressed too high up. They're pressed too high up because we went and scored a goal, not because we turned the ball over and then subsequently get cut open with the one pass or whatever happens that follows. So it's like I've often equated it to Ainge is like the fighter that is just, he's won a lot of money and a lot of things in different areas of the world with just that right hand. You know what I mean? And everyone knows the right hand's coming, and so they all game plan for it. Now what do? You just keep throwing the right hand and hope that it lands? Is that what we're doing? It almost seems like it sometimes. And then when he does throw the left, it's like, okay, that was nice. Throw another left. And he just keeps throwing the right hand. So it's like, at some point, you do gotta, for me at least, I came to an understanding that I don't think at this level there can be a 100% rigidness to, or a 100% fall back to just my overall like philosophy if it's not working, and these players are clearly not able to do it. Like I know Brennan Johnson can get to the back post, but there's times when I see him in his first touch takes him to the defender. That's not what a winger should do. I play goalie, and I know that. I didn't run offensive drills. I'm diving for the ball, but I know with my first touch to take it away from the nearest guy. That's just seems 101, and it's like these basic things that players. Romero switching off on that goal, just getting bodied. That's a basic thing. I don't think that's down to tactics. I think that's down to half-assery. You know. I don't want to assume what was going on through his mind or in his personal life, because I know he's got 2 beautiful babies and a beautiful woman, so congrats to that. But as far as what he does for us, you know, I don't want to make any assumptions, but what I see on the pitch hasn't been good enough before the injury. He comes back from the injury, maybe takes too long because of Tottenham Hotspur's physio department, which we did overhaul in the summer as far as I understood it, but it's like it got worse. I don't know what's going on with these players like Odobert as well. Never injured in his life. Now he's hurt for a large portion of the season. So it's like, to me, I understand Ainge is a problem, but it's like when there's so many other problems. We're diagnosing a headache, but my leg's been cut off and I'm still bleeding. We don't have a suture for my legs, but don't worry, I took some pain pills for my headache. It's like we do that every 18 months, and at some point you got to address the problem, which is the bleeding legs in metaphorical sense.
Yeah,
Go on, Dave.
I hear what's been said, but I've got to push back a little bit. Just in our first preseason, I mean, Ange's first game, we played West Ham. We lost 3-2.
Yeah.
And they scored. Bowen scored, I think, twice. But I know Bowen scored 1 goal where we lost the ball high up the pitch. I think our fullback lost the ball in the centre. We didn't have a defensive midfielder on the pitch. So they ran through a couple of passes into the fullback channel where Bowen was just waiting, because that's what you would do when you've got a team that's playing inverted fullback so high up the pitch. He's waiting there. There's a mismatch or 1v1. He wins that, scores. They've got their goal. Frankfurt did the same thing last week. It's been nearly two years. It's the same carbon copy goal that teams score against us. Go back last year, Brentford, Ivan Toney, when we went up against them, they played with 1 up top all season. And they came up against us and they put a second player up top. I think there's Mopai came in because they know if you can isolate our centre-backs and stop us covering the wide areas because we've got inverted full-backs, then it means we have no way to cover those wide areas which our full-backs leave. They then scored from knockdowns and wide. It's the same carbon copy goal that they're scoring against us. We had our 10-game run, fantastic. But Ange, you now need to change it. You've got a player who plays in the half spaces and he's brilliant at it. Right? How many times have we seen, I don't know if he was there at the Alkmaar game at home, when Maddison gets the ball in the half turn and he does that spin and he drops the shoulder. He does it every single game. Why? Because he's a half space. He plays in those half spaces. That's his game. But we're putting him out in the wide channels because that's Ange's system. Ange's system is 3 midfielders and they spread out really wide so the inverted fullbacks can go into those 10 positions. Fine, that's all well and good if you've got Lahm. If you've got a Philip Lahm type player, great, fantastic. But you've got Pedro Porro, who for all his qualities, he can hit a great cross, he can hit a great shot, but also he gives the ball away. And you don't have, because you're not playing Archie Gray, you're playing no defensive-minded midfielder. And if you're playing Soar, you're playing him as an 8. So he's out in the wide channel as well. So when your inverted fullback loses the ball, there's no protection. See, the issue is, like you said, there's a bleeding leg, but also when you're looking at the bleeding leg, you actually don't know where the bleeding's coming from because you've got an inverted fullback so high up the pitch, but you've also got no protection for that. It's not. See, the thing with Mo Salah, and I hope the guy could have stayed on. Mo Salah can play the way he plays because there's protection in the middle. So you can take that risk of having someone who's quite a high volume player who gets a lot of shots off, and some of them are really bad shots if you're being honest, but he takes those risks because you've got protection in the middle. If we had that, if I'm looking at Steve Johnson, he's not a 1v1 player, he's very low IQ. Jacob, you're spot on about that. He makes some real boneheaded decisions. So put him in better percentage moments. You don't put him in a system where everything has to work correctly for you to have a one-touch finish at the back post. It's those kind of things where I'm like, as a coach, knowing the players I've got, especially because I've gone through August and I've gone through January and I haven't got an extra winger or Odeberg's injured or or Johnson, you're going to have to play 8 games in a row now. I'm going to have to adapt my tactics slightly. Maybe I might go to 4-2-3-1 and ask Pape Matar, who at his best has always played in a double pivot, and he's able to cover those big spaces with his long rangy runs. Instead of you playing to 8, play as a double pivot next to Bergwall, right? Because Bergwall's got the engine. Play as a double pivot, be that shield for us. Maddison, you go play 10 in those half spaces. And you know what? I might get some more goals out of Dom Solanke, because all he did for Bournemouth last year was play off those slip passes through the middle. Guys, I'm not asking you to go spend 200 million, but I'm asking you to beat Wolves at the weekend. Do you know what I mean? Like, give yourself a better chance. That's all we need. And as Spurs fans, it's the fact that you keep doing the same thing every week. And yes, they are individuals, so I get it. And I think the players are tired. You blame the system. There's an element of, I do think they do.
So ask me this. Sorry to cut you. So ask me this then. Would you have taken a risk and gotten rid of the manager, knowing that the players, you're saying it's not a quality issue in terms of the players that we have. It's just the system has its flaws, and a lot of teams have now cottoned on to how we play and are exploiting a lot of those defensive frailties. And then also our frustrations for players because remember, Johnson's come under a lot of criticism. Solanke now, he's under a lot of heat. And Maddison as well. Maddison, lots of fans are not rating Maddison, saying, Maddison, look at him, what does he do? He's meant to be one of our leaders, he's meant to be a talisman, he came for big money. There's a big expectation from him, and
75 minutes, one good pass I can remember. Things like that, yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, you're giving him, and I'm not saying that he can't do better. I do think he can do better. But I'm also looking at say, you're not playing him where we saw him play for the past 3-4 years, where he was doing better. Play him as a 10, and if he doesn't deliver, then sack him off. Ash, I was telling you about Bergwall when I was watching him for Jagarden when we first got him. I'm seeing him play as an 8, as a 10, and pulling the strings creatively. Now we're playing him almost as a 6. I think a lot of these players have been misprofiled. Destiny Udogie, he's a fantastic footballer who I think, as much as he can do the inverted thing, I think he'd be better off going down the wing, going round as a overlapping player, a bit like how Ben White does for the red team, the other guys, And what you do with that, when he goes around the wide areas, because he can cross, right? It means that Heung-min Son, who has thrived from getting close to goal and getting that shot off. That shot he does when he cuts in and bang, he hit one of them. I think it might have been last week, or it might have been Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Right? That shot he does, which he doesn't get to do much anymore. He's immediately in that position because he's got his fullback out wide. He can't do it now. Why? Because he's now got to play 1v1.
So
he's never been a 1v1 player.
Do you think that if Son had the protection like Salah did, that he could be possibly pulling up the same numbers because he's probably got more of the skill set than anybody else? Because you use Brennan Johnson as the example, but
it might not be the same, but it's just more.
Using his strength more than his weaknesses.
Listen, we saw the best from Son in two circumstances. When he had Harry Kane, who can drop deep and hit that ball over, and Son was right, cool. As soon as you get it, you've got to look at me because I'm making that run. So defenders can't cheat, right? Because he was in his prime, he can make that run. He's onto that bit, and he's a brilliant 1v1 finisher. Unless it's against Man City, and Arsenal might win the league, but we know all about that. Okay,
I hear it.
Right. So he's a brilliant 1v1 finisher, and we see that. But then, when it's in a situation as he gets older, and all he's got is that, he still can finish. He can still hit that shot. He's still off either foot. Now I'm saying, I need you closer to the goal. All right? I need you closer to the goal. So how do I do that? I'm going to get my fullback to take the wide channel, and I'm going to give you the ball in the half spaces where they can't foul you because they're going to give away a free kick or a penalty. And you can do a bit of trickery, drop a shoulder, and get a shot off of either foot. But because we're giving it to him on the touchline and he's got to do a step over, he's never been that player, even when we had him, Ericsson, and Dele Alli. Anyway, I'm going on.
Can I ask you something? Because this is actually the first time I met you. Your name's Coach Dave, so I'm assuming you're a coach, and I feel like you would be better suited to speak on this than me. So I do want to ask you, and I genuinely mean that.
Got two coaches, Jacob. We've got JJ as well. He's a coach.
because I'm not a coach. I only played the sport, and I'm just a big fan of it. So I'm not a coach. I'd have never coached, but
It's the best time to ask.
I see it from my point of view, and I guess this is going to kind of help me ask the question. Like, my point of view is, if you're now adapting your whole system so Brennan Johnson's flaws aren't exposed, so Son's playing to the best of his abilities, which some people say it's because he's old that he can't do it. Some people say it's the system. Some people say it's an amalgamation of everything. And then you're playing the system to Madison. So, like, it, to me, does that then make the system non-existent? We're just playing to whatever you do good, just go out there and do it. It's almost like, what's the point of the coach, right? I don't know. I'm genuinely like kind of in between. I don't know how to really think about it,
I'll be very
because
interested in JJ speaking, but for me, I would be saying you want to maximize the best of everyone and minimize the worst of everyone. And I think just making slight changes. You look at your fullbacks. Pedro Porro is he can cross the ball. We know that. So having him inverted in half spaces.
And Dominic Solanke can score headed goals. He did that for Bournemouth a lot last year.
We don't cross the ball much. We don't really use that to our advantage. If everyone's cutting back to the edge of the box or cutting back to the back post, then Dominic Solanke is just a press.
I genuinely wonder if it's like, if it's just like the way that ball has changed in essence, because like the old school coaches that I all had were like, you fit this box, you are Bruce Lee, you be like water. And I always hated that, because I'm like, I'm not going to be like Bruce Lee. I don't want to be like water. I'm my own shape. And it kind of seems like, I don't know where the line of like a philosophy ends and this free range of just everyone do what you're good at kind of begins. I don't know.
Yeah. JJ, what do you reckon?
On JJ.
I think there's an interesting conversation about, you know, what we would all do if we were given the keys to the club, right? And we probably all do different stuff to what Ange is doing. At the end of the day, Ange was brought in because of the strength of his philosophy, right? He was brought in because he was a man with an unshaking vision on something, and he's had success everywhere he's been until he arrived at Tottenham. And that was kind of, I guess that's what a lot of us were crying out for. We wanted an attacking identity. We wanted someone who was going to come in and do that. Now he's put it down, and it doesn't, even though it worked a little bit to begin with and we were excited, but it's not working since then, and it's been a bit up and down, and there might be reasons for it. I totally agree with what Dave was saying about you maximize people's strengths and you try and minimize their flaws. And one of the things that was really evident in the game on the weekend, when you make a few changes, you change half the team, is how unforgiving Ange's system is. Now, everything that Ange does, everything that Angeball is that I've been able to identify by seeing it and looking back at what he did before, I can see why he does it. And I can see how you can have success doing it as well. I've seen all of it. And we've seen bits of it when Tottenham do it well. So when Tottenham execute it really well, we've shown that all of these different principles about, the high line and the rotations in the fullback areas and the half spaces, the pressing from the front, the centre back stepping out, the inverted fullbacks, all the stuff that people can clearly see can be really successful, and it can have a positive impact on the game. What Ange is going to live and die by to the end of the season for me is whether he can put that down and show it consistently. And he absolutely has not been able to do that up until this point. And you can give him some leeway for the injuries, but now he's running out of road because he's got his squad, he's got time to train. He should have been able to get a better performance, and we can forget the individual mistakes. We could have lost 4-2 or 4-0 against Wolves on the weekend. But what I would have wanted to see is a clear understanding from the players that were out there. They get the system. Okay, you may not all be starters, you may not all be in rhythm, therefore you can't execute quite as well as everybody, maybe your first 11 do as they would against Frankfurt, but you've got to do that better, right? You've got to be able to go there, you show the principles. And there was too many times on the weekend where I was watching multiple players running, converging on positions defensively when one player should go, one should be holding. there's either a lack of understanding or a lack of ability to play the system. And if there's a lack of ability, there's only so long you can sit and wait and say, well, we just need more players. We need better players. We need to sign this and sign that, because we're not that club. We're not that club that's going to go and do it. And therefore, he might be the right choice for another club, but he's not the right choice for us, if that's the case. Or he's got to do a better job of showing I can get this group of players by tweaking what I do and tweaking the things in my system. He doesn't have to give up on his principles. He can still do all the things he wants to do. But he, as a manager that's been in the game for 26, 27 years, has got to show that level that I can take my principle, my system, and I can tweak it in these ways, and I can get it out of whatever squad of players I've got in front of me. And unfortunately, that's the bit that's been missing for me.
How do you justify?
Thank you. I feel like that answered my question. Sorry, Ash. I do feel like that was a good way of. I feel comfortable with that answer. Okay, you can stay within your philosophy while still making those adjustments. Like, okay, so that's kind of my question was like, when do you just abandon ship and say what Ten Hag was saying for United? I don't play the Ten Hag way. I play the Manchester United way. And we saw how that ended. I mean, he did get 2 domestic trophies, which I'd take, but I don't know. Sorry, Ash. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to say thanks.
It's free house, bro. Any questions, welcome, man. Because I'm looking at it. Philosophy, he's an attacking manager, so we're going to focus on his attacking attributes, what we do with the ball. My focus, and you guys have touched on it, is the off the ball, the out of shape. What do we look like when things aren't going right? When, as you said before, teams know the game plan, how are we addressing that? Because in the 2 seasons he's been here, and I know we've got 6 games left, which isn't helpful because we could concede more. We have conceded 108 goals. And to put that into perspective, that's more than Pochettino in 3 seasons when he was there at Spurs in his first 3 seasons. So for me, that is a red flag. How do we justify that? How do we move forward and say, look, we've got Nottingham Forest next. We do have teams like West Ham away. We are playing Crystal Palace again, who are on form as well, Glasner, who we've been linked with. We do have to play a small team called Aston Villa that played in Champions League just a few moments ago. And also we do have a Liverpool team we've got a terrible record at Anfield. We've already been given
and are winning the title that day.
We could be giving them the title. So their motivation is going to be extra high. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, they only need 2 wins, right? They only need 2. They can win it before us.
We play Forest and then we play Liverpool.
Yeah.
So if Liverpool win next week, and then
Liverpool need to win next week, and then they have to beat us.
Then they have to beat us. Yeah.
It's done.
Okay. Makes sense.
Oh, but to add to insult, you are
sucks.
aware that if Ipswich don't beat Arsenal this weekend, Arsenal confirm our survival in the Premier League as well this weekend. So we could be doing 2 things in 2 weeks.
We might not even need to get 40, huh? That's what you're telling me? Might not even be the road to 40.
Yeah. As long as Ipswich don't beat Arsenal this weekend, they confirm our survival.
So I do understand the whole philosophy approach. Wow. And I do hear the ideologies and all the rest of it. I'm not mad at 4-3-3 because 4-3-3, you've got Newcastle playing 4-3-3. You know what I mean? But the difference is that the intensity in the press, they're not doing it all the time. I'm not saying Spurs, because I think right now, the reason why we're not seeing Angeball right now is because we're not pressing as intense. And that's why we're looking so disjointed. When we were playing against Wolves, I was like, where's the press? Like, I feel like Solanke's the only one pressing and the others are a bit off it. But again, that could come down to the players not playing with each other. We could use that as a thing. But I'm sure the manager's spoken before the game, half time. Remember, there was an issue where, we've got every game. Every 2-3 days we're playing a game. There was a chance when we had a whole week. We had a whole week to prepare for games. And we still weren't quite getting that business done. So my actual concerns, I'll say my concerns and worries are, we get through this and Frankfurt, and we play Nottingham Forest where Nuno's returning and he's got a bee in his bonnet. and they hand it to us. What are we doing then? Are we like? Does anyone think Ange should go if we progress in the cup, but then Nottingham Forest give it to us? Do we still keep him? I just want to know.
Ricky, go on. Give that one to you.
Why? Oh my gosh! You see me sitting back.
He saw you sitting there enjoying yourself. Yeah.
Getting too relaxed.
Bro,
Jacob was there cracking jokes. Like, I was educated by JJ Dave. I was like, I was
you can talk about Willard if you want, bro.
Oh my gosh, you leave Willard alone. Oh goodness. All right, what was the question? What did you want to know? I forgot now. What was the thing? All right, do we keep him? All right, so for me, right, just for my own mental health, I put the Premier League to the side. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's all about Europa League. I think if we're in the Europa League and we see some of those flashes and we see them do it for 90 minutes and kind of win, I think we should just roll with it. I don't know what's going to change in that sense, but then
just to add some more flavor.
But
add some more seasoning. Let me add some more seasoning. So if we lose and Wolves somehow beat Manchester United, who are also not in form, that means Wolverhampton will go above us and we would slide down into 17th. Well, carry on.
16th, unless West Ham have got to win too, innit?
Oh yeah, West Ham are there.
West Ham are there. So that could be the
There you go, Marlon. Thank you for that. There you go.
Safety.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
Ain't 17th, it's 16th. Come on.
Ash, man. Come on. Roll with it.
Listen, it's not 17th.
Bro, each position counts.
Every position, you know, every
We are in that spot, you know.
Sorry, carry on.
It's tough because listening to both JJ and Coach Dave speak, right, about tweaks and about tactics and stuff like that, right, it really does kind of open my mind up to the amount of things that are going wrong. And yes, I've had sympathy for the situation that we've been in. And, you know, we haven't had this, that, and the other. And we haven't had VAR decisions. We haven't had ref decisions. There's a lot goes against us, as we know, because Tottenham. But just, you know, listening, like I say, it's like part of me is like, let's him as long as Europa League journey continues, right?
Let him get that.
At the very least. Yeah, but then, like, also, you know, listening to both of the coaches here, like, part of me is like, well, if he gets sacked and Ryan Mason takes over, then he's going to go 4-2-3-1, which is a position that I really enjoy as us playing in as well. So there's part of my head kind of going, would it be better, would it be worse? But look, man, like, I don't know, man. I'm just on the poster, and I just want to, I want to see, like everybody else, I want to see a better Tottenham. I want to see us play with pride and play with strength and go out there and do the things that we used to see, like be expressionate and excite us and all of that. But we also know in all of our best moments, we have also had that Jekyll and Hyde in us where we will kick ourselves in the backside. It's just all this season, it feels like that's what we've done. And at one point, these players and the manager and everyone's got to have enough, right? You've got to have enough at being the butt of the joke. You've got to have enough of losing, for goodness sake. You've got to have enough of people in the press and on Twitter and everywhere else doubting and slagging and putting you down. So this is your moment, right? This is your moment. Today is your moment. So go out there and grab that moment. Go out there and shut everybody else up. Do you know what I mean? Go out there and stand up like the World Cup winner you are, Romero, and go and go win us something. Do you know what I mean? All of them. Go and be that person. So it's the last silver lining of hope, because this team has depressed me and it's driven me into the ground where even like the pods, gents, like the pods, I've taken a step back. Do you know what I mean? Like I used to be on every week. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing this week, man. Like I'm all right. Do you know what I mean? Like I've got reruns of 24 to watch and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm okay right now. You know. So you know what I mean? Like
let me ask you another question. Just
so
one more question. Tough. One more question. Where do you see us finishing? That's a better question. Where do you see
17th?
17th, man. We know this.
It's been written, man.
Sorry,
It's been
sorry.
written. 17.
Not in the bottom three.
Yeah. Above Ipswich.
Yeah, we'll be above it.
That's
Don't worry
it.
about that, Ash.
Yeah, above Ipswich. You know what? It's an interesting one, man, because you know, I think we just want something. You know, you look at it from, you know, I'm sure JJ will agree. You look at the game from a coach's perspective, you go, oh, I just want to see something from man. You want to see, and then you look at it from other angles. You go, I just want to see a bit of resilience. I just want to see a bit of passion. I just want to see, you know, a goal. I just want to see something to, you know, everyone's going into every Spurs game looking for something different. And you know, for me, and what are you going to do with this lineup? Oh, okay, you're still doing this, you're still doing that. All right, maybe not. You know, other people just want to see a bit of fight. You know, we all want to see the same things, but you gravitate to whatever your eye is looking for, innit? And I think that's why the fan base is even more divided now than ever before, because everyone's got their piece that they just want to see, and you don't want to see anything. It's like,
I've got a question for you, Dave, though.
you know, go on then.
What-
You've always got a question for me.
No, but I want to know, like, who is the manager that comes in for Spurs? Because we've been linked with 3. We've been linked with Iriola. Apparently, they said Iriola's saying, nah, I'm all right, you know. I'm
I
gonna
was gonna say we could be linked with them, but that doesn't mean they linked with us. Let's remember, Ainge was 4th choice because we got denied 3 times.
Jacob, I got
Been
shut down
there,
for this a
I can't
few weeks
lie.
ago when I said that all 3 managers might not want to join, and that
Go on.
Yeah. Oh no, we're too big. We're too. Bro, they may just like their situation. They see what's going on over here. They're like Ainge versus fans every week. Come
Wait a
on.
second. What we said, who's your ideal coach? If you've got like Thomas Frank, let's take Iriola out of it. Thomas Frank, but actually no, the front runner now is Silva. What we saying? Silva, any good? Can you take Silva? Who's your
18 months from now, I'll be telling you Silva out.
Zabi.
The guy that I want is over in Germany, Seb Hunis at Stuttgart.
Onions. Yeah.
That's a good shout. I like the Stuttgart guy.
A lot of people have been, but do you know what? You say that, we'll all say that, but we've got to make sure that everyone is saying it, because you know what Spurs are like. They'll listen to social media and give the top 3 managers like they did. They went out and looked Silva, Frank, and Ariola, because that's all that anyone was talking about.
Yeah.
Really research.
Listen, and I'm not against.
Are we the mole?
I'm not against. Yeah. I'm listening to all you guys. I'm gonna phone Ange later and be like, "Yep, I was on the pod. I know who the mole is." No, listen, it's one of the ones where you hear all the names get linked, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the biggest fan of some of the Prem guys. I think we've seen this in the Prem before, where teams go on a run, maybe 18 months or so, where they hit a bit of a good run where everyone else drops off. Whether it be like this year, City, Spurs, Chelsea to a certain extent, and United have dropped off. And then all of a sudden we're now seeing a Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Fulham or whoever getting spotlight. And those are the managers that are now saying that they're now good enough to be a manager that would take Spurs into hopefully what would be contending for Champions League places. And that's what you've got to look at. I'm looking at it in case of it's not just to get us out of the rut we're in, but to take us to where we want to be in 2 to 3 years. We don't want to be going around just so I can get us out of this, but in 2 to 3 years' time, if we're qualified for the Champions League, do I trust you to manage this team with a bit more investment, with a bit more development, or whatever, into in the Champions League quarterfinal or the Champions League, or whatever, in those kind of crucial games. And I'm not quite yet convinced by Iriola or definitely not Silva. And I think they'll be kind of found out. And also, and I'll say this to you, Ash, in our group chat, guys, you got to realise that the pressure of managing Spurs is a lot of things. Forget about us as fans, but just think about the size of the club and the ambition of the club to qualify in those European spaces, whatever. Other teams like Bournemouth, and they haven't actually been on that great a run in the past 10 weeks or so. They can actually, if you've got a stretch of 3 Premier League games, he can win 1 Premier League game and lose the next 2, and Bournemouth fans will be like, all right, cool. We'll see what happens after that. With Spurs, you've got to win 2 out of those 3, or maybe 1 and draw the next, because that's the kind of run we need to be on consistently to be able to qualify in the top 6. That's the number of points you need to get over the course of 38 games.
Mm.
So that's a level of pressure. You can't go on a 3-game skid and be the manager of Spurs.
And it's not
So,
just the pressure. I'll say your
yeah,
reputation's on the line as well. Look at
there we go.
Antonio.
There's that, and then you add in Europe, and then you add in transfers, and then you with Daniel Levy, and then the fans and the stadium and all the different.
Oh, and your coaching staff, you have to adopt Ryan Mason. That's also per that you can't get the job without him being a part of your coaching staff.
Yeah, I think that's the top paragraph. I think that's why JJ turned it down last time. That's what I heard. When JJ got the call, he was like, you know what? It's the Ryan Mason clause. I couldn't handle that. I don't know, but yeah. So listen, it's a lot of things, and I'm not saying Sepulveda is the best out there. He's just the one that I gravitate to in terms of what I've from the options that I've looked at. His playing style seems to be a bit more flexible. He's predominantly 4-3-3, so I'm not saying we'll go away from that. Develops youth, can work on a budget. Seems to have the ability to knock off some of the big guys in the Bundesliga. He's been part of a 3-year project, I think, so far. Took them from a bit of a dark space. Galvanized the club, galvanized the fans, and has got them competing in the right areas. That'll be my take. But again, listen, we could be here all over again, in 18 months time. I hope we're not. I really hope we find someone that we can get behind, like we did with Poch. For whatever whether you're a massive fan of him, whether you think he had flaws, whatever. Listen, the club was in a good space. There was a sense of unity. There's some really exciting moments. We didn't achieve maybe what we should have done. We maybe should have got a cup here and there. Should have maybe focused on the domestics a bit more. But you never really thought there was a split like how you felt in the past 3 years or so.
What are you saying, JJ? Who do you reckon should come in? Who out of those 3 would you want if you were excluding the Stuttgart manager and maybe Xavi? Let's make it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, I think without, I've not necessarily got a manager that I really think this is the guy. This is the guy that I've watched and I've said this is the one I really. Oh, maybe there's one out there, but he's very unlikely to come. But there's the main thing for me, and the only important thing for me, is that we identify somebody who's got a very clear rationale of how they want to impose themselves on football matches before they come into our club. And that is what's going to set them up for success, because then you can get everything in the club, your recruitment, you can do everything. And there are levels to this, right? There are, we've talked about this before about who you can recruit when you're Tottenham Hotspur, because you're not going for necessarily that A-list. So there's a different level of recruitment, but you can still focus your recruitment. You can still focus your coaching staff on a manager who's got a very clear project. And if there's one thing you can say for Ange, maybe he's got that, right? If it turns out not to work, it doesn't work. But in terms of bringing in managers, my concerns with managers like Iriola, Marco Silva, Thomas Frank, is they've gone in and they've shown themselves to be really good managers at taking projects with limited resources and maximizing those and doing really, really well. But they all leave a lot to be desired in terms of, okay, if you're going to get given the keys to Tottenham Hotspur and you're going to be, your goal, your aim is going to be top 4, top 6, competing in some cups, trying to get into Champions Leagues, do those managers have a way of imposing themselves at the top end of the Premier League and in elite European competition? Or are they reactive managers who take what they've got, improve them, make the team hard to beat, make the team play really well with the resources that they've got available? And for me, that is a recipe for success for going from near the bottom of the league or the middle of the league up to just about kind of just below the European places or just into the European places, as opposed to the club that I guess Tottenham wants to be, which is back in that top 4 and then a kick on from there. And I think that when we brought in someone like Pochettino, you could see what he had already done, and you could say, oh, he came in with Southampton, he was playing in the top league, but Southampton were imposing themselves in a certain way against teams. And everybody was taking notice and everybody was saying, interesting. This guy has gone in, and without the resources of all these other teams, he's such a good coach and he's set himself up in such a way, we can see what he's trying to achieve with this system. And that was exciting. when he was coming in. Whereas I worry that someone like Marco Silva coming in is he will, I think he will improve with the group of players we've got. He'll definitely improve on the position we're in this year, 100%. But is he the guy that takes you the next step? Has he got that X factor of those top coaches? I don't quite know. I'm not sure I've had that question answered in all the years that he's been working in the Prem with different clubs. So I don't like, if I was throwing out a dream name of somebody that could maybe do something like that, you'd look at someone like Xabi Alonso, who is extremely unlikely to come to Tottenham Hotspur. He's probably going to go to Madrid, but he's young and he has shown that he can impose himself with his ideas, and he's doing a few bits and pieces that are interesting and they're different. And that to me is exciting. You know, a manager that comes in and is looking to do that kind of thing, I find that quite exciting. Whereas, you know, Frank Iraola, I don't know enough about the coach at Stuttgart. I've not followed them this season at all. I just wonder whether that's me being biased because they're not exciting. And yeah, absolutely, I'd hold my hands up. But yeah, I want identify a coach who is looking to impose themselves in the image that Tottenham want to be. We want to play attacking, exciting football. That's the kind of coach you're looking for. And then you're looking for a bit of X factor, a bit of something different, and a bit of somebody who, no matter where they've been, they've shown that they can do that. And if they're at a club that hasn't got great resources, you're looking for them overperforming with the resources they've got.
Does anyone want Marco Silva in the panel? Does anyone say, look, if he was announced?
My main thing why I like him, he did sign Adama Traore. You know, it's something I've been asking for years now. And if he's able to do that, I'm fine with it.
You say his talent ID is where it should be at.
I'm just saying, I'm biased. I'm an Adama fan myself.
The guns up,
and so is he. So we're like-minded in that sense.
What about you, Ricky, man? Who would you pick out the three if you had the choice?
I'm kind of, my phone's messing up, so you got to tell me. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm freezing. My phone's messing up, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we hear you. Just a little lag.
Yeah,
just a little lag.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna roll with it. But for me, I think you gents have kind of covered it pretty well. Marco Silva for me is a stopgap manager. I'm not really inspired by him. I think he could do a job, but I don't think he's the inspiring one. If you look at the injury list that he pulled up, all of them string injuries. They played out high press full, and he didn't have Europe this year either. So yes, he's had a good season. Yes, he's got a lot out of Bournemouth. But some of the same problems that we've dealt with this year, he's dealt with as well, and he's only had one game a week. So I see problems there. Although for me, I don't think just agreeing with what JJ in there earlier. But for me, I do like Xavi, and I do like Xabi also what JJ was saying there. Xavi, what he was doing, at Leverkusen last year, the way that he was playing was very similar in what we want as a Tottenham fan to go and see. And Xavi is another one that knows how to bring through young ones, that knows how to change a culture, that knows, and that wants to have an impression as well. So he's almost a box office name that would come in and tick a lot of boxes for a period until we can go and get posh. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully, if he does tremendously well, then we can keep him. But until we watch back, then I would go personally. I'd go Xavi.
All right, Marlon, what are you saying? Out of the three, man, because these lot aren't answering the question, really. If it was free and you had to choose, you had a gun to your head.
Yeah.
3 managers, yeah? You got Glasner.
Coach Dave is what I choose.
That's not the question. You guys are ruining the show with your hypotheticals. I'm saying you've got 3 choices, yeah? You've got Glasner, I know Glasner might not be. Glasner, you've got Iriola, Oh no, sorry. Thomas Frank, Iriola, and Marco Silva. Who are you going for?
Well, now that's 4.
I'm keeping Ange.
Hey, there you go. 5th option.
You son of a gun.
I might as well stick to what
Mason.
Mason, yeah, Mason, yeah, well, anybody. Daniel Levy can take charge for all I care.
You know what? I think it is key what JJ said. It is about those principles, like what do we want our club to look like? And I think they tried to get that with Ange, it hasn't worked out, and it's just strange that Levy hasn't pulled the plug. But maybe it's a financial thing where he's like, look, paying out so much money, and the timing of it, where it's a case of the tax year. I don't know what it is where he's looking at. He's got his eye on something and he's gone, nope, can't do it now. Got to wait till April 20th or whatever, before he makes a decision. And obviously with the Europa and the potential of getting back into the Champions League if we were to sneak a win there, I think he's looking at it and going, just look, eggs all in that basket to see what happens. But look, the identity has to be there. We know what we want to go and see at the stadium, but that can't be at the expense of having some sort of IQ and some. We can't be too naive with it.
Well,
we talked about a lot on this.
Are we going to win on Thursday, guys? I want to know. Are we going to win? Are we going to win?
We're going to give it a go. There is to do. There is to do, my friend.
It's everywhere.
They better not serve us that bad schnitzel. That's all I'm saying.
There is to do, my friend.
Bad schnitzel will ruin your next day.
Run, and we
what, guys? I've got to go.
Nobody believes.
Big up.
All right, we've got to believe that something can change on Thursday.
All right, let me ask this then. What midfield are we picking? Does Kulusevski start? I want to know, innit? Like,
so you're just asking the question that literally is going to have a million different variations? Oh, okay, that's a good question.
Yeah. Literally, I want to know: is it should Tell start over Son? Should Son start? Should it be Johnson or should it be Odeberg? Odeberg's announced fit. Should Romero get dropped? Oh, or should Danso start? Oh, I'm saying, like, what is the team? What is the best team to get the job done? I want to know.
I'll let the coach go first before I say anything. I want to hear the coach speak.
Well played.
Thanks, man. I'm getting thrown under the bus again. This is a theme.
Hey, Elijah want you.
You're going to be surprised, Marlon. I'm going to hit you with a big surprise on this one. I don't think it's going to happen, but for me, you play. I think Kulusevski, if he's fit, you start him. Whereas I've got a feeling that won't happen, and he'll come on 50, 60 minutes. But if he was fit enough, you would start him. So my midfield 3 is Ange's preferred 3, because I do think it's our best performing, which is Berrival, Bentancur and Maddison. I think it's our best performing 3 at the minute. And then I would, because it's away from home, I would go with Decky on the right-hand side. Because he provides another potential outball, so somebody who can hold the ball. Whereas if you were to play Johnson, who I'm actually expecting to start on the right hand side, he's not a hold up player. You're going to have to play him into feet, or you're going to have to set him facing a defender. So for me, I would be looking at that midfield 3 that seems to be his strongest. You would play Decky on the right, but I think it's going to be Johnson. Solanke up front, Son starts, no question about it. He's your club captain, so unless he's injured, he starts. And then you go with 4 of your 5 strongest. Your back 5 unit. Vicario will start, and probably, well, maybe because he didn't play at all, maybe Porro on the right hand side and Udogie on the left, and then it's Romero, Van der Ven. For me, that's the most likely. I think the only controversy would be whether you pull Johnson out and you put Decky in on the right-hand side.
Controversy? Okay, fair enough. Jacob?
Well, for me, there's one that, y'all know me. I get labeled all types of things because I choose to try and lean towards the light. What feels good, that's where I'm going. And one of the things that's felt good this year is the Jed Spence redemption arc. I think he's our best fullback. Him starting in the Premier League match doesn't bode well for my confidence for him to start in Europe. And with what JJ is saying, I would absolutely go with Kulu on the right wing as well, just because for me, Brennan Johnson, I think you could just get more out of him if you squeeze that orange for about 15 minutes and leave it at that. Just let the other opposition be a little bit tired. Let him just run and just say, run, man. Just have a good time out there. Just go run around and he'll do it. And I know it didn't really completely answer the question. I'm diverting a little bit. But for me, Jed Spence is a bright spot. Kulusevski's, for someone in the summer, we were playing him in a false nine before Dominic Solanke got here in the preseason. So we didn't know where he was going to even play because he didn't look like an Ainge winger last year. So I kind of didn't know. And then he was a false nine in the preseason match. Then we get Solanke, and then he's winger, then he's midfield, then he's kind of had this freedom when he's in the midfield to drift out into the wing and on the left wing, which is nice because then guess what? He could use that left foot that he likes. And, so I would absolutely start Kulusevski as well. Son's going to start unless he's, like they said, unless he's not fit. I think one of the bigger questions is, does Richie get a start over Solanke? That was probably the top 2 worst games I've seen from Dominic since he's been here. I think I would still start with Dominic personally, just because if you're going with one for the larger stretch of a match, I think he can control the match better than Richarlison can, for whatever that's worth. As far as the back line, and you kind of mentioned Romero getting dropped, I think you see a different Romero on a European night than you do versus relegation rival Wolves, where he clearly didn't give a damn. And I think as a player, European night hits a lot harder on a grandiose scale more than, the players, if Ange in public is saying our focus is Europa, that's our focus. You give the kids in the back of the class a chance to fuck off for a whole period, they're going to do it, right? They're going to take advantage of the situation and say, well, the teacher said I didn't have to turn that homework in and it's not going to affect anything. Therefore, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to just save all my cojones for Thursday. And I'm hoping that that's the case. So then we see the Romero of last season on Thursday, because that's quite frankly what we're going to need. And then Van de Ven, obviously, whenever he's out there, he's a difference maker. When we play with him versus without him, we look a lot different. And, if that's an indictment on Dragusin, I don't know. I kind of think it is. Ben Davies has been okay, but I don't want to see him start. Jed Spence, I don't care if it's left or right. He's better than Destiny's been this year on the left. He's better defensively and arguably going forward than Porro on the right. For me, Jed Spence has been a revelation for someone who's been very wrong for 2 years. Oh, 3? Is it 2 or 3? Every year I'm like, this is the summer where Jed just, he gets in the squad and then he gets a chance for me, Jed's saved his job versus Coventry. We are 88 minutes of absolute draws. Jed comes onto the pitch, gets us a goal, and then gets the ball, and we go get another one. And then, to me, it's one of those things like Bergvall and Archie Gray. You kind of see what dog's the hungriest, who's going to eat at the trough the most. And, for me, I would like to see Odeberg get a chance out there as well. I think that there's a lot of cookie there that we ain't really explored. Same thing with Matthias Tell. He shows flashes of what I think he can be as a player, and then flashes of a guy who's still trying to get into fitness and form, and really looks like he's not played a lot of ball over a calendar year, but he's got a lot of the intangibles. So for me, there's a lot of reasons to go with certain players. For me, Jed Spence has to start. I don't think he's going to. I think it will be Destiny and Pedro Porro because of what we saw of the lineup. But if that's true, then that means no Brennan Johnson on the right, and we get Kulusevski on the right. So that might be nice too.
Cool. Ricky, what you said?
For me, I'd go Vicario, Van der Ven, Romero. I would play Spence to start with on the right and Udogie on the left. 65 minutes, maybe switch it because Udogie's going to start dropping off. So I'd switch it and then bring on Porro. Midfield, I think it's Becker, and I would go Kulu in there, and then I would go Sonny, Solanke, and then on the right, I would want somebody pacey. Ideally, I'd like the bear there and see what he can do, and then whoever needs to come on or change. Yeah, but that's the team I would like to go forward.
Marlon, what you saying? What do you want to see Thursday night?
A performance. Couldn't care less who's out there. But yeah, big Viking goal, Porro right back, Destiny left back. Van der Ven and Romero. And the reason why I'm going with them 5 is because they're Ange's original 5. He's at last chance saloon. He needs to go with the back 5 that got him through most of his troubles. And probably be the first time that they've all played together in probably nearly a year, if we're being honest about it.
True.
You got, it'll have to be Bentancur in there with Bergvall, Madders, Kulu, Son, Solanke at a push. And then you've got the subs, because obviously he'll make them on 60 minutes. This is Ange. Yeah. If Solanke's not pulling his weight, he's got to come off, and Odobert and Richarlison should be the first 2 subs he makes.
Right. Okay. Interesting. I don't disagree.
Spencer has been a changer. He is that time, even if he comes off of the bench. I think that special weapon that we've got, whether he starts and switches over to cover whichever fullback, or he comes off the bench, I think he's a really special talent that is always asking for the ball and is always looking to make things happen. Doesn't matter where he's playing. So, even which way it goes, I think that Spence, I think he needs to get on that field and he needs to have some type of minutes out there, because he could change the tide in an instant.
I know, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. I'm a big Spence fan. I think for this, because it's Ange's kind of, he needs to stay in a job. I think Destiny and Porro probably are more suited to Ange Ball in its whole entirety, especially with Romero and Van der Ven as a 5, as them as a 5 and Big Vic, is where my head's going. Because me personally, I'd start Spence every day of the week. But in just where we are at the moment, maybe we just need to go back to basics, and that's why I'm thinking maybe that's why Spence shouldn't really start this one. But if he does start, I wouldn't be mad.
Marlon, can I do say something really unpopular again, just because that seems what I do. Jed Spence has been absolutely phenomenal this season. He's an incredible player and he's got so much talent. The one thing that has to be noted and people need to be looking at is defensively he's struggled in the last month or so. He's actually at fault for the second goal. Everybody was going after Romero and Ben Davis. It was actually Spence that gets it all wrong for the second goal against Wolves, because he fell asleep and he wandered into the penalty box playing everyone onside, and that's why Davis and Romero turned around and were shocked to see players on the other side and no flag, because he'd wandered in there early. Ben Davis, he's got his hand up in the air and he cannot believe that they're not 5 yards offside. It's Jed Spence's fallen asleep. He did it against Bournemouth. He just fell asleep, let his man run on the blind side on him. And this is not a criticism of the young man. He's had a brilliant season. He's played a ton of football. And with the ball, he's still incredible. He's still fantastic. He's an athlete. He's a great technician. He's taking players on. He's really, really exciting. Jed has struggled a little bit defensively. So I agree with you, Marlon. He is, and with you, Ricky, he's to come on to provide impact more so offensively than defensively.
Well, where I was looking at is like, let's take Thursday. We had the normal back 5 there. Yes, we conceded within the first 5 minutes, but look how better we were as a team as the game started to go on. And that's why I think when they have the confidence in that back 5, and I call them a back 5 because I'm including Vicario, I just think they're the players that Ange can rely on, especially when Van der Ven is back, and as a 5, they are a unit. But I think we've kind of forgotten that, because it's how the emergence of Spence, the emergence of Gray, and the emergence of Bergvall in the last month or so. So but Bergvall's probably the only one out of them 3 that you'd probably say cemented a first team spot in an Ange system. Because that's the only reason why. If it wasn't Ange, I'd probably go with a completely different lineup.
Does anyone think, would anyone be upset if Ange is still here and we get knocked out?
I don't think JJ.
Say it one more time.
Would anyone be upset?
No, say it one more time. I didn't hear it. Sorry.
Would anyone be upset if we get knocked out and Ange is still here?
if we get knocked out and Ange is still here,
Would you be
I
upset?
mean,
Would you be
if
still?
it was until the end of the season and then assessed and then we go our separate ways, then I'm okay with that. But I'm kind of I'm with a lot of the fan base in the sense that yes, you know, I'm backing him. I'm trying to stick up for him, and hope that the tide shifts. The time is running out, but at the same time, the evidence is there, as you've all eloquently stated, man. That certain things ain't running right. So if he's there and we got knocked out, for me, it doesn't really matter. You know, we're not going into that bottom three. As
So
we was joking about earlier, as long as we finish above Ipswich, we'll be all right. Or, you know, whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? So
the reason why I
I
asked
don't think it matters that much. I don't think we're going to get a new manager in to finish the season to head start or anything like that. If we did, then
I hear it. I hear it. But what I'm saying,
I'd be for it.
what I want to know then, what is you guys at the top? What do you have a breaking point, or is this guy unbeatable, invincible, like because he's got 6 games left? Is it like it doesn't matter what happens from here?
No, my breaking point went time ago.
To be fair, he doesn't want him next year.
Ago. It was around time.
You're still saying
I'm just trying to find
I can see a world where I can see like it could happen, guys. We could get knocked out on Thursday. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just saying it could happen. Like, I know what the chat are saying. Some of the chat are saying, but I'm like, look, how would the fan base respond if he's still there come Friday morning, Good Friday?
If that's the case, if this hypothetical situation does play out, I think it solidifies the theory that the reason Ainge hasn't been sacked to this point yet is because there's a financial thing in that contract. You've got to imagine as a manager, you know, when you're interviewing with Tottenham, part of the thing is like, well, let me, you know, you always look at the business you're interviewing with, right? And part of what they say in an interview, a good thing to do as a candidate is to ask real pointed questions for the company. That shows them that you're interested in the company. That shows so then you would think as a manager when you're negotiating your contract with the agent or whatever would be like, looking at your last, oh, yeah. Well, you got to go back to this guy, and y'all didn't even like him in 2008. You got to keep on going. It's like if this guy's able to do something that ain't been done in 40 years, I think he deserves whatever the hell he wants. Unfortunately, I think the relationship is so fractured and toxic. He would probably win the Europa and then just be like, "Here you go," and then he would walk away. But if we were to lose, I would, and he's still here and he's managing the next Premier League match. I would say that just solidifies the fact that there is a financial reason why Daniel Levy hasn't sacked him to this point because of the Premier League form. Because there hasn't been another manager that has gone through this low of form in the league and survived. That hasn't happened. But it's almost like in the summer, I was kind of asking for, hey, when things aren't looking good, let's still stick with it because that's kind of like part of a project. The only thing is there's only so much sticking with it you can do until you're just, you know, Jack and roses on the door, and now you're freezing to death, and the last scene is.
Hold on. So Jacob, would you, if he was the manager if he was to start as the manager next season, would you be happy with it?
If we won Europa, hell yeah.
And if he doesn't,
I would question. I mean, I guess it depends on like what the market looks like, so to speak, because I don't want to go through 3 more denials just to end up with option number 4 again. Emphasis on again.
Cool.
I was gonna ask because Mourinho got sacked and he had a package to be paid off as well. And I would imagine that Mourinho's package was slightly more dearer than Ange's. I'm pretty sure Ange's on less money than Mourinho. So that's what I mean. Do you not think on that notice that it would look a bit mad if he was to be here, you know, after the cup exit and he had to play Forest at home in front of home fans after he's done...
It's Monday night, mate.
Moles, the pitch, the grass was too high. And we've heard that one. We have heard the grass was too high.
I think there has been some outlandish stuff said. And I've been a defender of Ainge in post and pre and in his press conferences because I've worked in sports media for almost 10 years of my life, and I know what the media is trying to do. I've been a part of it. I've been on the inside of it with the Cowboys, and it's like and you see these motherfuckers every day of the week. They're hanging around even when there's not a press conference, because guess what? They're just trying to get their quotes. They're trying to see what Ryan Mason has for you. And honestly, I could see if we lose and then the next home match, it would probably be Ryan Mason in charge. Because obviously, for me also, I don't want to rush into another maybes. I would like a contingency plan. Like when Eden Terzic was first floated around, it was like, is that a reactionary? Is that just a rumor? Is it a contingency plan for a project that we are trying to do, regardless of the manager working or not? Like, I look at United, Amarim's a good coach. Everyone would have said, I'd take Amarim at the club. You throw him into a toxic situation while the train's already moving, and you're expecting him to keep up, and he's struggling to do that. Now people are saying, Amarim out, he's trash, we got worse, yada, yada, which you could say that about Ainge. In year 1 to year 2, we got worse. But it's like, yes, and is kind of what I see. Like there's been a lot of extrapolating circumstances and contextual evidence that often gets ignored and that I think papers over the cracks, like Kane used to do, like Jose's ability was able to do, like Conte's ability was able to do. Paper over some cracks so we get those stinky results versus the Ipswiches, Brightons, and Crystal Palaces. We get those results in our favor, but we still lose the ones that we always lose. And you know, back to the first thing you said, we're always the joke. It doesn't matter what manager. We had Jose, the special one, and we became the joke for him now because at one place he can't win a trophy is here. And so it's just, I'm tired of it too. So I don't know what the solution is. I just don't think Ainge sacking him now, before or after Europe, before or after it. I don't know. I have no idea what's going to work because obviously all the other things we've tried ain't worked. How am I supposed to be the one to solve Da Vinci's Code?
I don't know. JJ, let me ask you a question as well. Do you think that what are your thoughts on the director of football?
As in Langer?
Langer, yeah. What are your thoughts on him? Do you think that he's identified the right players for what Ange wants? Have the club backed Ange in a way where he can fully, get his ideas across? He can play his type of football, or do you think Langer's part of the problem as well? Is he good enough?
It's really hard to say whether Langer's done a good job or not because I just got no idea what parameters he's working within. If we think about Tottenham Hotspur, it's all very well saying, well, he should have got this guy and he should have signed Nico Williams and he should have, we should have seen Desiree Doué through the door. And it's like, really, are we competitive no matter what we think about our football club? Are we A, in the market for those players, and B, is that in the within the financial structure of our football club? I'm not sure it is. So, if you're going to judge Langer on the January transfer window, I don't think you can, you hand him a fairly crap report card. But if you judge him on working within the parameters that Tottenham Hotspur set, he's done okay. And I think most Tottenham fans, particularly the ones that don't like Ange, would say with this group of players that we have available to us, we should be doing better. So the feeling is that the playing staff isn't as bad as where we are, and therefore we're okay. Like we've done okay. But yeah, I don't think anybody's sitting there going, yeah, Langer's knocked it out of the park. He's, brought in some hidden gems. He's used his stats-based approach to find us, for us to compete up against the Brentfords and the Bournemouths and the Crystal Palaces, and then we've got a bit more financial clout and a bit more draw, and we bring in those players. He evidently hasn't done that or hasn't done that yet. But yeah, it's so hard looking at it from the outside. It's entirely possible he and Tottenham were talking to a load of players that we'd be super excited about, and we didn't get it over the line. And it's not in their interest to come out and tell us how many players looked at Tottenham and went, no, I'm good. Thanks very much. It's not in their interest for that information to be out there. So it's hard to say how good a job he's doing. It will be interesting to see whether he remains and what happens with Don Fabio. If Don Fabio comes in and moves into a
I got the
role
quotes
and
for
whether
a
Langer
reason.
stays, I think you'll have your answer on what the club feel about what Langer's done while he's been here.
I hear it.
Hey, when Dom back, we bringing back wired headphones, wired earbuds specifically. All right, just for the Don. I asked my wife, I said, honey, you got them old ass earbuds? Where are they at? Because my headphones are messing up. Yeah, we got the Don Paraticis. Come on.
All right, just sticking on transfers. What do you lot think of João Paulinho not being fancied by Bayern Munich's coach, Megamind, Megahead? Do you not think that he's a suitable DM for us? Like people looking at, because I'm not sure. I don't know if I read it right or read it wrong, but I'm not sure if Cardoso is fully convinced. I know we've got the first refusal, but I don't know if Cardoso. I don't know if he wants to come to Spurs. Like you were saying, JJ, you know, some players are looking at the project and like, do we look at it? I was like, I'm not quite sure. So, would you guys take him, João Paulinho, or no? Not for you. Not technical enough.
I would absolutely take him. In short form, yes, 100%.
Ricky, would you take Paulinho?
I think he done really well at Fulham, and I think he well for us. I don't think he should be the number one. I wouldn't argue against it.
What do you say, Marlon? Paulinho? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Go on.
Depends what our manager is.
Marco Silva? Paulinho?
Of course, if it's Marco Silva, it has to be. But if it's, say, Thomas Frank, so no.
Well, again, Marco Silva, you got to get a Dama.
Yeah. Look, it's the thing is, the thing for me is, all these players being rumoured, but until I know who the manager is, it's about fitting systems. And as JJ and Coach Dave pointed out earlier, it's all good going and getting this player, but if he doesn't suit the manager's style, the manager's system, you've then got a weakness in the squad already, and you've got a very good player. And that's the problem we have.
Let's keep it simple. What do you fit in the Ange system? Everyone's saying we need a monster six. Would João Paulinho, would he work in Ange's system? That's what I want to know. JJ, anyone?
Well, I don't know. I've seen him in full sprint in the essence that we would require him. You know, like full gazelle mode. You know, like we've seen Bentancur do it, and it's like sometimes he could stop him sometimes, and sometimes he can't. And I feel like it's kind of that same essence. It's like maybe he could catch him in this Ainge system. I just think it's a player that really transcends whoever, whether it's Ainge, Silva, Jimmy John, or Jesus Cristo. It doesn't really matter. He's a player that is of quality, and he's a senior player. He's not a young guy. I think you need to have and this is just my opinion, I just think in a group of young men, it's good to have a actual leader that preferably is not doing balloons before the season kicks off. That would be my preference in the midfield.
JJ, what you say, man? Would you take Paulinho?
I take him. Does he solve the problems? One player coming and solve the problems? No, not for me. He doesn't. The one thing that I find interesting about Paulinho is he can do it at Premier League level. So pace, physicality. You've seen him do it. He can play a DM role. So that is a plus. It's a positive. And I like the fact that there's a player that shows defensive instincts, which is what I think we miss in all of our midfielders. It's more about sensing danger. It's more about putting yourself in the position to cause maximum obstruction to the opposition at times, even if it's not perfect. I think that's an area we really struggle with, just not sniffing out that I need to make this angled run, I need to get myself into this position because it makes the maximum possible obstacle for the opposition. I think Paulinho does offer that. I think he also offers you more yellow and red cards than Christian Romero. So, you factor that in, you price that in with a transfer like that and in a system that is going to have, if it's Ange, we're still going to have a lot of pressure on that number 6 area. And, you're going to have to accept you're going to lose him every five games for a couple of games. So I don't think he fixes it all, but yeah, he's certainly a player that would be interesting.
So I want to know then. I want to know: are you guys signing the check? Are you signing it up for Matthias Tell? Have you seen enough that because he's rumored to come to Spurs? That there's been talks that we are going to renegotiate, or Levy wants to renegotiate the deal. Would you lot take him for 50 million?
It's not my money, so yes. Ain't my. You want Wagyu? Yes, I do. Do you want prime rib? Yes, I do. I do gotta love you, leave you, but I will say for Tell, I would do it because I think that it's just you got to have a sunny contingency plan, and I think that he's a player who at least shows you one. He's the right kind of guy, and as far as the guy, the human behind the shirt, and to me, I think that that's a thing that. Tottenham may not be the greatest in terms of success, but we've brought in some really good human beings. And it's like, I know you don't get a trophy for that, but that's something. I'm a person who holds high values for myself and my family, and my team having high values for humans as well. I rate that. So I think he's the right kind of guy you want to keep around. Young, bright, he's got a lot of spark. I think he's more exciting of a prospect than an Odobert is. However, they're both still exciting in their own right. They both know each other in the France under whatever age team, and yeah, I think that there's enough there for me. If we could spend 55 million on Brennan Johnson, 60 some on Richarlison, and another 60 some on Dom Solanke, hell yeah, we could spend 50 on Matthias Tell. That's just my opinion, but again, ain't my money. But big up, Ricky, JJ, it was so nice to meet you. I just followed y'all on Twitter, so big up. Very nice to meet you. Ash, Marlon, always a pleasure to speak with the kings of Spurs. Come on now. All right, y'all, big up.
Love Broski. And same question.
No, love, man.
Huh? No.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
All right, so for me, okay, Tell hasn't shown enough. There's fireworks going on.
Right,
Tell hasn't enough for 50 million. I know. Tell hasn't shown enough. Do you know what time it is? And it works now. I don't think he's shown enough for a £50 million price tag, but I think there is a lot of potential in there. I think that he is raw. I think that there is a high ceiling on him, but we haven't seen enough of it. So I think it's tough to sanction it, but I think we're gonna go for it either which way. And before I actually glitch out and because I can't even find the mute button on this one, I'm going to kick out as well, boys, as well. I got to get out of there. I've got an early morning, and these fireworks are not going to help.
Cheers, Ricky. Thank you.
Bless you. Thank you for having me on, man. It's been great to be on with you, gents, and Ash and Marlon and JJ and Coach Dave. You guys and all of you. You've been amazing, man. So thank you for having me and thank you for hosting me. I ordered these fireworks just for all of you kings that are on tonight because that's how you roll and you deserve it.
Love my role.
Love.
Love that, all right, gents. You take it easy.
Big up, Ricky. Yeah.
Love.
All right. So, JJ, just sticking with this question, yeah? This the whole Tell situation. Is he... Would you risk that type of financial package on Tell, knowing that players, for example... we've also been linked. I know it's just rumors, paper talk, but we've been linked with Cunha. Now, a lot of fans are like, Cunha, I don't like his attitude. He's a bit of a bad boy. Would you take Cunha or would you take a Tell? I know it sounds like a daft question, but we're talking about a Son replacement here. And Tell...
Is Cunha going to come to a team that he's going to finish above?
Listen, I'm still of the mind, yeah. Listen, I'll keep it 100. And I know what type of chairman we have. But if you cough up the money, do you understand? If you really want a player and you cough up the money...
Why do we support Newcastle?
You could get him. Huh?
Do we support Aston Villa and Newcastle right now? You know what the name of the channel is, yeah?
I know. We're Spurs, isn't it? I know we don't pay the wages. I know it has to be in the budget. But I read that we're looking to break. Like people are telling me we're gonna break the transfer record.
But Daniel Levy. I'm gonna sit there and say this again. Daniel Levy has told everybody, if we don't make Europe, we ain't spending money. He told us this on
I
the 31st of
weeks
March.
ago, a man were like, "No, we're gonna spend money."
No.
And
Monday
I
the
said, "No."
31st.
I
No.
was saying no. I was like, "Listen, we're not doing that. We're not spending the money. I've been here before. I support Spurs. I know the story, and I ain't
Nah,
going."
that financial statement.
No,
Yeah,
go on.
that financial statement was a clear indication of he doesn't believe Ange's going to win the Europa League, and it's clear even though it was good money, he made a lot of money that year with no European football. Don't get it twisted. But he sat there and told the fans just before the ear cupping incidents to say, "You don't know what you're talking about. We haven't got the money. You can't just tell me I can spend money here and there when we haven't got Europe. It's not going to happen. He's preparing us for the summer. Whoever told us that he's going to break the transfer, whatever, he's not going to do it. It ain't happening. No way, no shape. It's good. All the transfer rumors that are going to be in the summer, unless Paratici comes back in some shape or form, but even then, it's going to be free transfers and hardly anything spent. That's what he's relying on Paratici for. I can see it. That statement said it all, and I'm going to keep referring to that unless it's broken.
So what are we saying? We're gonna get what's it called? Angel Gomez if he does come. If he's Man United.
Angel Gomez, yep.
Angel Gomez. Cardoso money, because Cardoso's not too much price wise, but again, that depends on the player if he will come. So you've got those two players, and then obviously Tell, because Tell's part of the Kane deal. If I've got it right, it's part of
Yeah.
So that technically is the money, and then on top of that, we're gonna buy maybe was it Diblin we were linked with for a long time.
I ain't getting Diblin.
So that's too high. I'm going mad now. Now I'm mad.
Too high.
All right. So then, all right. But we need a striker. No.
Depends on Richarlison.
All right. Okay. So that's where we do. We sell Richarlison if we can to Everton. Everton will take him back, and then that money we use to kind of offset and get a striker that way.
It's going to be a lot of. Let's look at it like this. For Spurs this summer, it's going to be a lot of which teams are in financial trouble.
Yeah.
Which teams are looking to get rid of players, and which teams are on free transfers. We're not going to get, and whoever the manager is, whether Paratici gets them in or not, because I believe Paratici's coming back now. I'm done. I can't believe that. But Paratici will only come in and he'll do what he done at Juventus. It'll be exactly the same, and there'll be one big signing, but it won't be someone who's going to break our transfer record. That and the reason why I'm saying this, and I'm going to keep referring to that statement told us all we needed to know, more than anything.
Yeah, fair enough.
JJ, I hope you're agreeing, so you must kind of see where I'm going with it.
Totally agree with you, Marlon. Totally agree. I think our transfer business is set. We will do net jobs like sell Richarlison, offset, use the deal, use the money. We will, bank money against Harry Kane for Tell. I wouldn't buy Tell for full asking price. Renegotiate, maybe get an interesting deal. I like his attitude. He's got a lot of confidence. He's got a real swagger about him that for a 19-year-old is impressive. So I think we might do that. But yeah, I don't see big signings. Cunha would be an excellent addition. I'm not sure I can see it, and certainly if we were going up against Villa, Newcastle, maybe even Liverpool looking for a number 10, loads of other clubs, we're not getting him. We're not getting Cunha over anybody that's in a more stable and a better position than us. So yeah, look for deals, look for offers, look for free transfers. Jonathan David as a striker, free transfer.
Yeah.
Angel
Gomez, you already mentioned. That all of that kind of business.
Does that mean we can't compete with Manchester United then? Is that what we're saying? We nowhere near Manchester United because everyone will talk about FFP, PSR. Or is that all out the window now? All of our game-changing stadium, is that all null and void? I'm just trying to make sure, because obviously there's been a lot of PR that this is going to be the season. I just want to know what are your thoughts, JJ?
look, if they clear out someone like Marcus Rashford, if they sell someone like Garnacho, the wages that they pay these players, the wages per season that they pay these players, they they can either sign a whole new player for the wage packet that they put, on those players, or they can afford to offer players coming in. They say, look, it's Man United. We'll be back soon. Give us 2 seasons. We'll be back, and then offer you as a starting salary 150, 200, 250. Tottenham don't get anywhere near it. If you were any kind of player, you would still probably look at that and say, Man United are rubbish, Tottenham are rubbish, but Man U are going to pay me double.
I wanted to talk about this player, Hugo Ekitike. Obviously, we are playing him. I did this video about 6 weeks ago, been meaning to play it, and I just want to get rid of it now. I just want to play it. I know that we
Bro,
beat
bro, can I just say something? Did you just see the NAF raid and went, I'm going to put on an Arsenal target?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I said, Ekitike, look, we're not going to get him, but apparently Mamouche went for what, 90 mil, 100 mil? No, how much did Mamouche go for? I can't remember, 70 mil, something like that. So I think they're going to sell Ekitike for a similar amount. Do you know what I mean? I was reading a lot of scouting reports on him, and physicality is an issue. However, when I did watch him against us, I thought he was fine. You know what I mean? I didn't think physicality was a problem when I watched him against. Maybe it's our centre backs that didn't do well against him. They weren't strong enough against him. But when I looked at him, I thought, yeah, you know what? This play actually looks proper. 22 years old, did have a stint at PSG as well. France under 21s, did do damage. I know it was against an England team that had who was playing at the back? I forgot.
Rico Lewis was left back because he got twisted, didn't he?
He got done by Odegaard, innit?
Yeah.
But then there was also another centre back they had, which was a bit dusty. I can't remember. But anyway, was 40 million euros at the time on transfer market when I did look way back when. But obviously, he's worth way more now because everyone's
86 million euros or something.
Euros,
yes.
Yeah. So these are players that I apparently like. This is why I spoke to JJ about the whole the director of football thing, because Ekitike was looked at, Cherokee was looked at, but I know Levy blocked it because there was a sell-on fee. So there was the sell-on fee. He said if he's not going to be able to sell him on for more, he's going to block it. Anyway, I'm going off for one. So yeah, he plays in the formation of a 3-1-4-2. Frankfurt like to play that kind of low block, quick transitional football. Sometimes he plays in the 2 with Wahi. Against us, he played it up front, a lone striker against us. So he can do the lone striker thing. He can fit in a lone striker role. Just for those Arsenal heads that are watching, or Man United fans that think they might be able to get him. But here's his heat map as well.
Sorry, United think they're going to get him as well. Okay.
Yeah, United. Yeah, well, everyone's in for them. But here's his heat map, so you can see that he's comfortable on the ball. Look at the areas where it's quite red as well, especially in the box. You need your front man in the box. That's the one thing about Solanke. I need to see his heat map improve inside that crucial area in that 6-yard box, and I think his movement.
Yeah, but again, so you say that, but this is where I think Solanke. This is where it's not his fault. He's been asked by Ange because Ange likes to obviously play it across the box, but he doesn't want his striker to be in there.
No, I do know. Yeah, I do. That's the thing. Like with Iriola, when he played for Bournemouth, everyone's like, oh, he's a one-hit wonder, but he was asked to lead the line a little bit more and play up top. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think you're right on that. And also,
do you also want to know he was playing centre back for England that day? I found out. So you had Lewis at left back, Harwood Bellis left centre back, which Ridwan pointed out.
Yeah.
Egan Riley plays for Burnley, is it?
Yeah, there you go.
And Alex Scott was playing right back.
Alex Scott was playing right back. Interesting.
Yeah.
He did run amok though. That I think, did he score a hat trick against us, against England?
He did. He did. Yeah. He did. And Xerxes and Merlin scored as well.
And by the way, this player was identified by Newcastle to replace Isak.
Well, this is the issue that you've got, because Newcastle want him as well, and Newcastle have got the money to. You look at the midfield. This is just a striker they're really looking for, and especially if they're going to be playing Champions League football next year, and he can play off the left if he needs to.
Could you imagine if they had him and his? Oh, listen.
Shut up, man!
Let me play the video.
Man, don't. Newcastle are going to be filthy, man.
This is his actual metrics. So he's in the top 19 percentile. Is that 19 percentile in terms of non-penalty goals, expected goals, so big chances in that inside the penalty box. He's again the 10 percentile, top 10 percentile in the top 5 leagues in Europe as well. Total shots 92% out, so he gets a lot of shots off as well. And then shot creation actions for other teammates, for other members, 94 percentile. That means 6 percentile in the top 5 leagues as well. Progressive carries, progressive, dribbles as well. And I always look at the progressive passes received, meaning his first touch. First touch is really good, but also he works hard for the team by tackling and interceptions. That means he's got a football brain. He's able to read the game and intercept high up the pitch and win those games. A bit like what Cunha did to us. Anyway, let's talk about it. Let's have a look, man. I compared him against some other players as well. Isak being one of them, Mamouche being one of them. He did play alongside Mamouche, so he can play in the pair.
Quick question
Go on.
before you carry on.
Yeah.
Just both of you.
Go on.
After watching him last week, and that was probably the first time we got a glimpse of him.
Yeah.
Would he have not been perfect for Ange's system and the perfect profile of the sort of striker that Ange would have been looking for than Solanke?
Yeah, I think so. What do you think, JJ?
Ekitike.
Yeah.
I mean, Ekitike is not. I don't think he's going to put in the legwork or be able to do the whole play that Solanke does. But yeah, he's a brilliant player. Shout out to anybody that said he reminds them of Isak, because that's absolutely the kind of player that he looks like. And the one interesting thing is he does look like he could play as a wide forward, which, if you can play out and out striker and wide forward, that does make you very interesting for a club like Tottenham. But yeah, he looks like he's phenomenal.
Do you
Really
think there's any
exciting.
chance that he could end up at the Gooners and what they're missing?
Yeah, like everybody. I think there's so many teams in the Prem at the minute that are looking for a striker, and there's a good crop of them, right? There's a really good crop of young, exciting strikers out there with Ekitike and Sesko, and who else is out there? There's a few others that Delap is an interesting one as well. So there's a really good crop around of exciting strikers, and it feels like this year might be the year that everybody makes a move. Arsenal got one glaring hole in their team.
Right? So Chelsea, but they got to sell a lot of players before they can buy as well.
Or sell themselves something else, a few old trainers or whatever.
Hey, big up for rivals tomorrow. But yeah, I compared him against Isak, Solanke, and Delap all those weeks ago. And at that time, his shots per 90 was just behind Mamouche. Actually, I think he did it. I did this before the Man City moves at the time. Anyway, shot creation actions per 90 as well. You can see again against the others, he's second there behind Mamouche. But yeah, here's some of his play. And let's have a look, man. There he is, getting the ball out of his feet and find that bottom corner. Similar goal to what he scored against Spurs. There he is, cutting into the box, beating two players, do a little link-up play, and then getting that finish off. And again, in the box, cuts onto a stronger foot, right foot finish. It's actually not bad on his weaker foot as well when you look at him. But yeah, right foot. He likes the corners. That's one thing I'm saying. There's a little dribble action, and then he's able to find it. Here he is, comfortable on the ball, receives it, the little link-up play, and then a weaker fit finish into the bottom corner. Nice little delicate chip over the keeper, showing good composure on his weaker foot. There he is, slotting it home. So these are some of his finishes, different styles of finish, all inside the box as well. And that's what you need to do. Mix up some of your goals. Look through the legs, some of the corners, in the 6-yard box as well. Headers, all different types of goals. Again, the near post header finish, headers as well. So he's good in the air. He uses his height well. Good feet for a tall man, quite nimble. And that's something that kind of surprises you because he's got good balance for a tall player. There he is running at players, going inside, going outside. There he is running the corner. Successful dribbles. Again, progressive distance carried. Here's some of that. He's second to Mamouche. So this is the type of player you're getting in those spaces, in those wide areas that we spoke about, in those channels. Able to beat his man 1v1. Takes 2 or 3 players on. Here he is, chasing the man down, wins that challenge, cuts inside, and then he's able to assist. He's able to play the ball on the plate for his teammate. Again, little steppy, gets under control, then he plays a little pass. Here he is, on the laces of boots, glides past players, uses his strength there just to beat his man and burst past it. Here he is, again, down that channel, using that wide area, being that wide forward. Here he is doing defensive work, linking up from deep, doing little 1-2s, and I think that was Mamouche there in that little clip. There was going on the outside, just using his blistering pace. So he's got a different one. He can go on the outside, but he's comfortable in the midfield as well, dribbling with the ball. Getting on a half turn, quick Cruyff turn again, and he's away. Uses the laces of his boot just to drive and just to glide, and then find a through ball for his striking partner there. Comes inside, cuts in, goes to left foot, uses right foot, and is able to dribble on both feet, which makes him a difficult customer where you don't know which way he's going to turn. There he's good control, little kick ups over the man's head, cuts it back in. I like the way he cuts onto his one foot and then changes pace and is able to beat players as well. It's a good skill of him. Here he is again, taking that ball, going to that byline, being deadly. So he's just showing different elements to his game. Centrally, impressive. Wide, impressive. Tackles and interceptions, also good as well. And I've showed that in some of the clips here as well. But I'll just leave it there, man. I'm not going to go any further. Just remove that from the scene. But yeah, man, that's Ekitike. Would be nice, isn't it? Would be nice to get him. It would be very nice.
The thing is, and do you know what? I found this. I thought this was last week as well. There was parts of the game where last week he did go missing.
Yeah, they're just right. I agree.
And he wasn't. So he got his goal, and then he kind of slowly, once we started to take control, he kind of disappeared.
Would you say that was the team as well? Because I felt like the team kind of sat back. Or would you say it was just him as an individual that kind of...
Him as an individual, because I felt like he didn't give Romero or Van der Ven as many problems as I thought he was going to.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought out that comment earlier, because I thought if that's how he is, though he does let the game pass him by sometimes, he couldn't be in a club like Spurs, because we need something a bit more.
As I said before, I would
Even
love...
though I'd love him. I'd love him, but look what we're watching, and I think that's the reason why we're sitting there at the moment.
We're dreaming, and as I said before, Cunha would be my ideal player, but there's no way on earth we could extrapolate that type of player, because the wages he would probably demand. I mean, well, we would have to compete on wages against other clubs that want him.
I think our biggest problem is how many, and I think JJ's right, is how many other clubs are going to be competing for him. And you are looking at probably, let's take Liverpool. You have to throw Liverpool in this situation as well, because they'll probably be looking for a striker. Arsenal will be looking for a striker. Manchester United are looking for a striker. Newcastle are looking for a striker. So you're stuck, really.
I mean, look at this. Look, let me a little bit of hope, hopium. Yeah, let me have some. Yeah. Could we knock off the wages of a Romero? How much is Romero on wages wise?
Not much. I don't think he's on that much.
Scrap that. Right. Could we knock off a Werner, 170k?
Well, that's being knocked off anyway. So, yeah, if he comes back for a third time, delete the club.
I'm just saying. Look, give him 170k. Does he sign on? I don't know. How much is he currently on at the moment? Cunha? Does anyone know?
No.
Won't be massive.
It won't be a lot.
So Romero's on 165.
Right.
Timo's on the same. Him and Timo are on the same.
Right. So I'm saying, right, that's a lot of money there. And then Son's coming to a 1-year extension.
Yeah, but you got to remember, this is the European football not going to be there. So for Levy, these are the savings he's going to make from not having European football. He's not going to be signing Timo Werner again on 165. He's not going to distribute that wages elsewhere. He's going to be thinking, no one coming in goes on more than 100 grand a week.
I hear it, man.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him at all. And I get, look, the stadium. We needed the stadium. Don't get it twisted. We needed the stadium. But the fact he lied to us and said it was going to be a game changer, and we was going to be able to compete with the Uniteds and the Newcastle. Newcastle, don't forget Newcastle, because they got the shades, but all the other clubs in the big clubs.
I know what you mean.
Right? And then he's just gone, now we can't. Says it all.
Cunha's on 55k, isn't it? That's how much he's on.
Yeah, he's going to want to double that.
Yeah, 110. 110.
Yeah, but he's going to have his offers, because whoever doesn't.
Yeah, I'm listening. I know.
We're in the same.
Europe
is. We need Europe. I think we need Europe. Otherwise, we're going to have to be very, very clever in this transfer market.
Well, we best hope we win then. We best hope we win on Thursday, and
of course.
And irresponsibly, we get the Champions League football that way, because otherwise it's going to be a very, very dark summer. Do you know what I mean?
Dark summer and then a dark 12 months.
And how long would you think, if obviously Ange's gone, it would take to replace and find a manager? Because last time it took a while. It took a while. We were waiting for a minute. It wasn't straight away.
Yeah, I know. And even under Paratici, it took a while. So it's not to say there's any more confidence in that.
Would that not affect the window? How quickly we buy players and how, do you know what I mean? If we don't get that sorted out straight away.
Yeah, 100%. You even now, even during this period towards the end of the season, where you'd be lining up, talking to representatives, getting stuff in order, it's the only thing that the club can do is look at youth targets, because they can look at exciting youth targets and say, all right, these are players that will fit anyone, they'll grow, they'll develop, they'll carry value, and we'll sell them on. But yeah, you can't make decisions on key marquee players unless you know who's going to be your manager. We've got no idea who's going to be our manager at this moment in time, unless the decision's already been made.
Yeah.
Which now Spurs it won't.
Last question. Would any of you, man, take Madueke? I'm just interested. Just throwing it out there. Ex-Spurs player. I'm not saying he will come, but would you take him? Would you take him alongside of Johnson?
Alongside of Johnson?
We've got Johnson already. We've got Johnson already.
Why can't Johnson be leaving, bro?
I'm just saying.
I'm going to tell you this now. We need to get rid of Johnson this summer, because this is the only time we'll ever be able to get any money we bought for him, because he's our top goal scorer, and people are just going to look at the stats.
We don't do that. We don't sell players when they're at their peak. We need to get
Thomas Frank to Brentford to put a bid back in, mate. Because what are we doing?
What you said, he's dunking on your guy, man. Don't have it.
I mean, Marlon, you're taking shots at Tottenham's most performant player, whatever that tells you about our season.
Do you know what? I did want to bring up about Brennan Johnson. So, since he scored against Fulham in December, which was like the first weekend, do you know which teams that Brennan Johnson has only scored against? Tamworth, Southampton, Ipswich.
Oh, it's dark.
So,
JJ, what's that? What's going on there?
Since December, admittedly, he was injured for 3 or 4 games. Don't get me wrong. I think it was like 4 games he was injured for, which was like the cut games and whatever. But Tamworth, Ipswich.
Do you think the pressure's getting to him?
Southampton.
Do you think the pressure's getting to him a little bit or not? Because he just scored, didn't he?
And he might have scored against Wolves at home. That might have been the other one.
You got the assist though. You got the assist against Wolves, so he's technically.
Yeah, but this is the issue that everyone's having with him, is that when we play the better teams, he's nowhere to be seen, and his stats are proving that. But the problem is we're playing so crap against the bottom lot as well that he's looking like the shining light. Just saying.
Yeah, listen, he's definitely not. He's definitely not pulling up trees to the point where he's, exceptional standout player. I just think he's an easy target. He gets hit, and he's a very good player. He might not be a good player for this system, but he's a very good footballer. Just trust me. Technically, he's a very good footballer. Watch him. He's very, very good.
When you say technically, what we talk about is first touch, his ability to beat players with different.
Neat and tidy with the ball. He's got a little bit of confidence about him, but not enough to play the 1v1. Good finisher for the large part, although he should have scored on the weekend with his left. He's a very good player. If you put him in a system that suits him.
JJ, you know what? I don't believe you, so I'm going to have to ask you this. We're going to have to go on Big Up, right? Because we can show the footage in one of the next games and show me exactly what you're talking about, because I think he's perfect for this system, in the Ange system, because as long as he's at the end of it and he gets to cross it in like he did, it makes his game, it shows the benefits of how good his game can be. But actually, when you look at the other parts that we need him for, and especially when I've seen him for Wales, he's been awful. his first touch is ropey. He plays safe. When he goes to cross it, he doesn't look up to see if the defender's there or not. He doesn't. He's not clever enough to go, oh, don't put the cross in now. Hesitate or hold it back one bit or cross it a little bit earlier.
No
I don't.
pause. No pause.
And he doesn't pause or doesn't think to do it earlier. And that's my problem with him. He can score goals, and he's elite when it comes to being in certain positions in the box and being able to finish. But apart from that, he confuses me as a player. Always has done. And I'm not going to sit there and I don't think he is at the quality of a top 10 side player, Premier League player. He's more suited to the bottom lot. Hence the reason why Forest have improved since he's gone.
Well, Forest have improved because they got a manager that plays to their strengths.
Yeah, but if
he's a touchline winger. He's a touchline winger that's been asked to play wide forward, and I think he's doing a really good job at bits of the game that he's being asked to do.
But actually, Forest right now, would he be any good for them? No, he wouldn't, because what Elanga and Hudson-Odoi and all them do is completely different to what Brennan does. And I think that's what the difference is. I think if you go in and put Brennan back in that team, I think he sits on the bench for most of it because he wouldn't be able to play the way Forest want to play now. Me personally.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I think he fits Nuno to a T. Like, if you want Brennan Johnson to go somewhere, it's almost like, Nuno, come on, man, take him home.
I think he fits Thomas Frank, hence the reason why he wanted him. I just didn't get us. And I kind of get it now, but because of where we're at with our front three, he doesn't suit Solanke at all.
Let me ask a simple question.
And we have Brennan Johnson first.
Let me ask a simple question, and please make sure you like and subscribe and everything there. But Johnson versus Elanga, who's better? I just want to know. JJ.
Depends what you're after.
Yeah, exactly. It's different sides. Different skill sets.
Winger for winger, footballer for footballer. Who's better, man? It depends. Who's better, man? That's what I know. Who's better? Who is better? Depends on the system. Depends on who's the manager. Who's better, man? It's a football show. I want to know.
Right,
Elanga or Johnson.
I want to know. I'm Elanga all day long.
We're in the club, yeah, and I'm asking, who's better? Comments, let me know. Johnson or Elanga?
Elanga all day long, man. Sorry, JJ. I can't. Like I said, JJ, we're gonna have to do it. Like, I'm willing for you to show me and literally show me everything you've just said and give me a detailed explanation. Show me the video footage. I don't care if it's offline or online. I need you to show me because I can't see it, and I'm willing to learn. But with Brennan Johnson, I've watched him over these last 2 years, and I just sit there confused.
Yeah, listen, I feel like this conversation is kind of backed into a corner as if I think Brennan Johnson's the best player in the Premier League, and I'm trying to defend him. I'm not.
No, we don't.
I'm not.
But it's what you said earlier, and that's where I'm with it. And I want you to show me, because if actually I'm willing to be proved wrong on it as well. I'm literally willing, because I get that he's our top goal scorer, so there must be something about him.
He's a box crasher. He's a box crasher. He's a box crasher. That's what he is.
He's disciplined. He knows where he's arriving. Yeah, like the crossing stuff, you guys are right. But he is also under instruction to play a certain way. And I don't always agree with it, because I totally agree with your point about cross selection. Used to be what I used to hammer Aaron Lennon for, like legend of the club. I used to hammer Aaron Lennon thinking you wouldn't be playing for Tottenham if you had better cross selection, because you'd be playing for Man United. That's where he would have gone. He would have gone to a better club if he had better cross selection. He was brilliant. He was phenomenal for us, but he's not quite that next level up to go to the next team.
Because there were certain times where he didn't know whether he was crossing it high or crossing it on the floor or crossing it back to the back post. And that's where Aaron Lennon, his decision making like that, sometimes left him.
100%. It was no matter what the decision, if it needed a lifted cross, he's putting it along the floor. If it needed along the front, he's cutting it P-spot. It's that kind of stuff.
Johnson, though, guys, back on Johnson. You're saying crossing-wise, it needs work. You admit that, right? And obviously, as a winger, that's what you're judged on, no? Or but you're saying? Are you saying he's a better forward player than he's a 1v1 winger, or you're saying he's a better 1v1 winger than he's a forward? That's what
He's
I
a
want.
better touchline winger than he is a wide forward, but he is performing highly in a wide forward position from a goal scoring perspective. So I give him respect for that.
You know, I don't see the 1v1 winger. I'll be honest.
Bro,
He's not a
we got to do this for another
1v1
day.
take on merchant. He's
Oh,
a
right.
push and run touchline winger.
Yeah.
Push and run. But even then, when I see him push and run, it's like, all right, cool. Push and run when there's space and there's no player next to him. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just go on the outside of a player, loads of width, loads of space, either a wall pass inside the fullback and run onto it, or he's pushing it out of his feet. He's slowing down the defender, pushing it out of his feet, and he's running into acres against a team that's going to have a slightly higher line. It's what he did for Forest. It's why we started looking at him.
So what I'm saying is, all right, cool. What about his decision making? Does he have good decision making in terms of what?
We're going to give JJ a task. We're going to give JJ a task. What we're going to do, JJ, everything you've been saying about Brennan, you go and get us the evidence, yeah. And what we'll do, me and Ash come on to your channel. You can come on back here, and we'll do a Brennan Johnson special because I think we need to be educated on this one. And I'm going to
call Brennan's mum and try and get the highlight reel,
mate. But the thing is, I don't get is I want to bring David on this and be like, what are you teaching your son? Because you were good. Like, he was half decent and was good at half some stuff. And I'm kind of looking at it going, he's like, Brennan's probably made it to a higher level than his dad, but I know it's different areas, but there's certain parts of his game and I'm like, come on. Because I believe that Brennan Johnson has the attributes to actually be a very good player.
But in a possession-based team, that's what we are. Short passing.
I just don't. Maybe, and this is what the issue is.
I just don't understand.
He's a Premier League quality player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting there saying he's shit. I just think he's. I look at everyone in the Premier League and I just think he'd be all right at Ipswich. He'd probably do well at Southampton.
I'll be honest with you. I'd take so many wingers over him.
But that's the thing. I would, and that's the issue I've got with it.
Forest, Brighton wingers. Bournemouth wingers, I'd take Newcastle wingers. There's so many wingers I would take over him, but that's just my opinion, and I'm going to leave it there, man, because, like you said, you want to do this at another time.
Yeah.
We'll get the gloves on.
We'll let JJ go to bed, man. Come on.
Yeah.
We kept him for too long.
Sorry.
Way too long. But, JJ, let's let people know where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, you can find me at The Full Go. I put out videos looking at Tottenham's performances, kind of technically and tactically, and occasionally I write sarcastic things on X as well. And I call out Marlon.
Mate, call me out randomly. I was like, what did I do?
I should have called out Elijah. I get it. I should have called out Elijah.
No, forget
that was the one.
People up.
Big up.
But a big thank you to Jacob from United Spurs of America. A big thank you to Coach Dave as well from, is it NSO?
Yeah, NSO pod.
It's NSO now, NSO pod.
Look out for that as well.
And a big thank you to Ricky Norwood. I'm going to say from Chris Cowling because that's where he does most of his work.
Yeah.
But big up to Ricky as well coming on. Like all said, they'll come on again. We'll do another show. Ash, tomorrow. What time are you going? After the Arsenal Madrid game,
yeah, straight after the Arsenal Madrid, I got my Arsenal fan lined up, a couple Arsenal fans lined up. I've got my Liverpool fans lined up.
Pray for Madrid, people. Pray for Madrid.
Pray for Madrid, innit? It's gonna be sticky. And I'm trying to draft a few other clubs. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, let's see what happens, man. It could be an interesting night. It could be interesting, but you know what? I'm random, innit? Just come and tune in. I think I'm gonna talk about errors. I think I'm gonna do it. It needs to be had. This era versus...
This ain't because of what Stefan said last week, was it? Blasphemy.
100%.
Oh, my God.
We need to have that conversation again. So, yeah, man. But, yeah, we're going to obviously talk about the games of Villa.
To everyone that joined, especially for the NAF raid, just to throw it out there, go watch the short where Stefan had said, was it Gerrard was nowhere near Lampard's level or something?
Yeah.
And nor was Scholes.
Yeah.
Dude, wow. Just wow. But I got where his point was, but it just wasn't real. and we had to host that. Thanks, Ash.
I know. Yeah, man, that's what we do, man. We get controversial opinions and we let it air, man.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Any shows this week you got coming up? Or with everyone else?
No. Friday, obviously. Friday could be interesting. So yeah, I'm on standby. I'm pretty sure you guys are as well. The club right now, we don't know what's going to happen, whether we're going to progress or not. But yeah, tune in, man. Thursday should be interesting, but yeah, Friday I'm about. Put it that way.
And if nobody has seen, especially Spurs fans, we did a Do All Spurs Fans Think Alike. It is pinned to the chat, by the way. Please go and have a look at that. I'd just like to say, the first question, I look so good now. The other two have completely said they've switched their minds since we recorded it, but I look so good. I'm just going to say, just look absolutely spot on. But yeah, go check that out on George Killia's channel as well. That was a great video. But yeah, just go check that out. But yeah, we're back next week with another great panel, 9:45 again. Please, if you haven't, please like and subscribe, and please comment on anything you've seen. If you're not a Spurs fan, please tune in tomorrow as well for Ash's rival show, which is going to be after the Madrid Arsenal game if it goes to penalties. Come on, Madrid.
What Villa did today, so yeah.
Villa were close, man. Just, mate, I told you we should have taken Rashford.
Yeah, I know. Fans didn't want Rashford.
No one wanted him. I think he was done quite well for Ange. I know he's not the most.
Didn't want Enrique as well.
Oh shit! Yeah, do you remember that? That was a.
Didn't want to lose to Enrique. It's crazy.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that Ange might be right about us as a fan base. We know nothing.
Big up, man.
No, big up.
I love, man.
Yeah, big up for everyone. Pure love to everyone that's been with us today. Thank you. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.